And gentlemen, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Thank you for everybody for joining us, especially on a muggy, dreary afternoon. Thank you for dodging the raindrops to be with us tonight. I'd like to remind everybody to please silence your electronic devices. With a crowd this big, I know that somebody's phone's going to go off, so you don't want to be that person. If you would please stand and join us in the invocation and the pledge. Lord, we ask your blessings upon our meeting tonight. Grant us wisdom to make sound decisions that advance the common good of our city. We pray for peace and for those throughout the world who are suffering from war, oppression, or poverty. We pray also for those in our city who are sick or suffering. May they feel your comfort and the support of the community. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So folks, if you happen to have a seat next to you, in between you and your person, would you just kind of consolidate to the outer parts of the room so maybe we can find a seat for everybody? If you could just scoot over and kind of fill the gaps in. There we go. Thank you. It's like Southwest Airlines. We'll all fit in here. Okay. So for those of you who don't frequently join us, we usually begin our meetings with a historical or interesting fact about our city or its history or the region. And today, by the way, is the city of Tampa's 138th birthday, but we're not going to celebrate that. That's up to them. So, tonight that duty falls upon Councilmember Allison Fernandez, who was the one who thought of this tradition. So, Allison?
Thank you. All right, so I'm reading a little bit small print, so bear with me. But I want to go back to the time when people might come here to Temple Terrace as a visitor and come and stay during the winter, because that's when Florida was the most popular, and talk a little bit about what you would do as a visitor to Temple Terrace. And this is also to commemorate the loss of Sutton Hall, which is the former country club of Temple Terrace and probably one of our most significant historic buildings. So if you were a visitor to Temple Terrace, you might come and stay at the country club, which was also a hotel. And all of the rooms, the way it was designed, have a view. You either have a river view or you have a golf course view. And the golf course was designed by Tom Bendelow, which was a very large name in golf course design. So you might come and stay, you might come down by train and come over and stay in Temple Terrace, and you'll wake up in the country club, which was then renamed Sutton Hall later, once it was the ownership was transferred out of the city's ownership. And your breakfast is going to be in the opulent, luxurious dining room, and you might see these dishes at your table. Some of you, if you've seen earlier facts, might have already seen these, but this would be the china that was at the country club in the 1920s. So these are actual plates from the 1920s, and somebody has eaten off of these in the past. So you would have this as your service at breakfast, and then you might go out and you might watch your friends play golf from the veranda. You might go fishing. You might go canoeing. You might go play golf yourself. You might even go over to the pool, which was nearby, and our pool was designed to look like a Turkish bath. And you might take your family over there and hang out for a little while. At lunchtime, you'd be back in the dining room for your lunch and back to your activities at night. Temple Terrace was a recreation and golf destination, or you might even have found yourself going over to the building with the orange top. Looks like some people think it's a golf ball, but it's an orange, and you might find yourself over at that building, which is now the community church, to buy a lot in Temple Terrace and build your own house, so you could come anytime during the winter. Or you might be driving over to the area where the world's largest orange grove was, because maybe you bought shares in the orange grove and you were here to check on your investment. I think at one time our orange grove turned out over 100,000 oranges. So it was quite a prolific orange grove until the trees were lost to disease and freezing. So there was a lot to do, but it didn't end. Temple Terrace, our country club, was a hotbed of activity, and there were all kinds of special events and balls and galas held at Club Morocco, which was our nightclub next to what is the country club. And that building, unfortunately, is also no longer with the city. But that was a huge night spot. In fact, as a guest, you might meet Al Jolson, Connie Bennett, who I don't recognize that name, but maybe some people do, Babe Ruth, or other celebrities. They came into town and they came to Club Morocco and they went to the casino and they saw all kinds of shows and they had all kinds of entertainers come and play. So it's hard to imagine that now we all know it as a little bit of a quiet town, but it was a bustling vacation destination. And unfortunately, Sutton Hall has fallen to the damage of time and neglect. And we were able to salvage some items, though, and I think we have a picture of one of the pocket doors inside. So this is one of the pocket doors that actually adorned one of the community spaces in the country club, which had verandas and a women's lounge and a men's lounge and a locker room for golf and recreation activities. So it was the center of entertainment life in the city. So this is an example of one of the things we were able to salvage before the building was demolished. But a long-term goal of the city is that we find a way to display some of the things that individuals, so these plates are actually have been owned by an individual in the city, and there's quite a bit that several individuals own. And so that's one of our goals, is to find a place to display the things that are from this time and that we were able to salvage out of this building. And one of the things I do want to do is I want to encourage everybody who has a historic home to consider. I know that for those of you, I don't know if you're here or watching, but I know that people that have the historic homes take a lot of pride in maintaining them and their historic value to the community. I just want to encourage you all to consider belonging or being part of the historic preservation in the city, just because as time goes on, more and more of our historic buildings are prone to be damaged and maybe not make it into the future for others to see. But we want to be able to save what we can and display what we can to help us keep the character and the beauty of a past era. And in closing, I will say I know this is, you see these books sometimes in ACE and other places, but this book was written and compiled by Temple Terrace residents, and I just encourage everybody to look at a copy, get a copy, because it has quite a few pictures in here of Temple Terrace in the past, and some of the things that you look at. It's very interesting to see how that little recreation and hotbed of social activity has morphed into the city that we live in now, and that is my fun fact.
That was good, very good. She brought visual aids and everything, guys. That's good, you're good. So don't drop that stuff on the
I'm
way
not.
out of here, that's good.
I
So
do not want to be responsible for
our first order of business to make us legal is to swear in our new city attorney tonight. As most of you may know, that our previous city attorney, Pam Shishon, has recently retired. Our deputy city attorney, Ernest Mueller, who has worked with us for 3, 4, 5 years now? 6. Wow, time flies. So he has been promoted by council to serve as our city attorney, and he's in the process now of recruiting and filling the deputy city attorney position. So in order to make you legal, I think we should swear you in. Okay. All right. You would place your right hand on the Bible or your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I've never done this. I, state your name.
I, Ernest Mueller,
A citizen of the state of Florida
a citizen of the state of Florida
and of the United States of America,
and of the United States of America,
and being employed by or an officer of
and being employed by and an officer of
the city of Temple Terrace, Florida,
the city of Temple Terrace, Florida,
and a recipient of public funds
and a recipient of public funds
as such employee or officer,
as such employee or officer,
do hereby solemnly swear
do hereby solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of Florida.
and of the state of Florida.
I further swear that I will in all respects
I further swear that I will in all respects
observe the provisions of the Charter
observe the provisions of the Charter
and ordinances of the city of Temple Terrace, Florida,
and the ordinances of the city of Temple Terrace, Florida,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
and will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
of city attorney.
of city attorney.
Congratulations.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Let's get your name up. Come on, Mrs. Mueller.
I'll have you all inch a little bit this way. Thank you. Perfect. 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Congratulations. Next order of business is to recognize our Employee of the Month, who this month is Fire Inspector Becky Zarilla. Becky, come on up. Welcome. It's good to see you. Becky Zarilla is being... Yeah. All right. Becky Zarella is being recognized as the June Employee of the Month. Since transferring to the Risk Reduction Division from her role as a Fire Department Administrative Assistant, I remember those days, Fire Inspector Becky Zarella has made a significant impact, to say the least. Becky consistently brings a positive attitude to work and willingly takes on any task assigned to her. Becky's passion for helping the citizens served by the fire department is evident in her daily actions. Becky has provided vital assistance to renters facing challenging living conditions, helping them navigate difficult circumstances. She's also taken a proactive role in fire safety education, coordinating numerous training sessions using the fire safety trailer. Becky's led these sessions, effectively educating both children and adults throughout the city. In addition, she's collaborated with the Temple Terrace PD public education team to deliver a joint community training. Notable examples include conducting safety training for the elderly at the Lightfoot Center and participating in a weekend school backpack giveaway event at the Resource Center. Becky is currently completing her final class, marking the last requirement needed to become a state-certified fire inspector. Congratulations on that. Her transition from administrative assistant to fire inspector has been impressive while exceeding all expectations. In her role, Becky interacts with the public daily, always representing the fire department and the city with professionalism and courtesy. She continually goes above and beyond in her duties and remains a valuable asset to the department. Before I close, I do want to point out to you that we changed the criteria some time ago so that the employees of the month are no longer selected by management or staff. They're selected by your peer, your employees. And so to me, that adds really a great amount of significance to this every time we do this every month, because these are really, really high-performing, terrific employees in all the departments, and to get selected as Employee of the Month is an honor, but to get that selection in Temple Terrace is really remarkable. So congratulations, and you are declared the June Employee of the Month. Would you like to say a few words? Yeah.
Yes, I have worked for the city for a little over 11 years, and I started out as the administrative assistant at Public Works. And I was there for about 2 years, and then the administrative assistant under our previous fire chief, Chief Chapman, was retiring, and she asked if I would interview for her position. And that is the first person in a very long line of my career at the city of someone who saw potential in me. And I only worked with this woman at that time, was on the Employees for Employees Committee, which I've been involved with now for 10 years. So it was really great that she saw something in me in that capacity that could pour over into the fire department, which I never even considered. In fact, when she said, "Do you want to work for the fire department?" I was like, "Ugh, the fire department?" So, and it's been the greatest opportunity of my career. I love it so much. And I have Chief Kemp and Chief Hagwood to thank. I'm getting choked up, I'm sorry, for just pushing me and encouraging me every day. And I'm learning a lot. I just finished my last class to take my state test, so I just need to apply to do that. And I can't wait for what's next. I'm so grateful, truly.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Good in my mind, I was gonna call them up.
Getting a little bit closer. Perfect. All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, thank you.
Let's get the rest of the tour.
Are they out?
This every month.
You deserve it. Suck it up.
It's a big deal. Somebody's probably gonna have to do it. I know what Mary's gonna tell us. Somebody's probably gonna say.
Maybe kneel them down.
Yeah.
There was a fire, they know what to do.
Can you inch in just a little, get a little cozy? Oh, perfect. All right. 3, 2. All right, thank you very much. Thank you. That's good. Yeah.
Sure? Okay. All right, see you guys.
I get to do 2 things that I've never done tonight. I got to swear in a city attorney, which I've never done, and the second one is to recognize an employee who has been with us for 40 years. All right? So, Kamala Bybee, would you please approach the podium? Good evening. So, Kamala Bybee decided to enter the workforce immediately upon graduating high school. 3 of Kamala's older sisters had worked at the Temple Terrace Library, so when she found out that they were hiring, she immediately applied for the job. On July 29th, 1985, she was hired as a part-time library aide. The library director was Eleanor Howland? Howland. And Kamala's job was to check out books by stamping the cards inside the back covers, I remember those days, and reshelving the books when they were returned. Since there were no computers, the card catalog held a prominent place in the library. Other than books, residents could also check out record albums and VHS tapes. I know. Kamala worked diligently throughout the years. On October 1st, 2001, she was promoted to a full-time library assistant. Today, her duties include a wide variety of tasks, such as book repair, replacing disc cases, finder of lost items, minor building and furniture repair, and volunteer coordinator. Kamala has a wealth of information. If staff can't find a book that was lost on the shelf, Kamala is notified and she usually locates it immediately. If a screw is needed for a desk that was purchased in the 1980s, can't we still have desks from the 1980s? We need to probably work on that. Kamala can figure out how to make the repair. If anyone has a question concerning library history, she's asked because she will usually know the answer. Library patrons know her on site, and she knows all their names. Kamala is one of those extraordinary people who, even after 40 years, comes to work with a smile and a purpose. When she sees something that needs to be done, she does it. She's quiet, hardworking, and everyone agrees that she's an important asset to the library and to the city. And so congratulations, Kamala.
Thank you.
Would you like to say a few words? Nope. I would be surprised if you did.
I didn't.
Thank you for your service.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Get Teresa.
Carl, library staff?
You earned this one on your own.
Can you go on either side? Or, yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
So weird. It let me in earlier, then it turned up, and I was trying to get back in the second time. It wouldn't let me in. What do you mean?
Okay, I think everything else we've done before. So there is one board appointment. We have a vacancy on the Hillsborough County Livable Roadways Committee. There's one vacancy, and we had one application from Meredith Abel. If the council has had an opportunity to review her application, I would request a motion.
Move to approve appointment Meredith Abel as the member of the Hillsborough County Livable Roadways Committee for a term extending from July 7th, 2025 to July 7th, 2027.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion? Not all those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No nays. Thank you, Ms. Abel, for your service. Council, has everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes of our July 1st meeting? And if so, is there a motion?
Move to approve minutes from the July 1st City Council meeting.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion or corrections to the minutes?
There was one typo, but I already pointed that out.
You did?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, any other discussion or corrections? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No nays. The minutes are adopted. Now, we get to persons wishing to be heard on items not listed on the agenda or items on the consent agenda. So as everybody can see, we have a rather large crowd. I've counted up. I don't think the time is going to be a problem. We may go a little bit over, but not a lot. So at this part of the meeting, we have in our rules a 30-minute cap for this portion of the meeting that allows us to then go on and get our business done on the agenda. And then if there's more people that want to talk, we have an option for a second public comment section towards the end of the meeting. I think I have 10 requests, which is 30 minutes, and to allow a few seconds to go back. We may go 5 minutes over, so we'll just knock it out. All right. So we do ask that people come to the podium, state your name and city of residence, so you just can't shout out from your seat. That's no good. What else do we ask? That's about it, really. Everybody gets 3 minutes to talk. There is one in here who's been donated some time and will have 4 minutes to talk. That's about it. Pretty simple rules. So, okay, our first speaker I have is Amina Khan. Good evening, ma'am. Welcome.
Good evening, council members and community members. It's lovely to stand up here tonight, and I appreciate the opportunity to address the council and the community. My name is Amina Khan. I am an artist and an art teacher in the area. And you said to state my address too, right?
City of residence.
City of residence, Tampa.
Okay.
So some of you may know me already. It's lovely to see so many familiar faces. I've made some of the murals around in Temple Terrace, so hopefully you're enjoying those. But the reason I'm here tonight is to bring up an issue that perhaps you've already heard about, but in case you haven't heard, I wanted to bring it forward because it's something that has affected a large part of your constituents here in Temple Terrace, the Muslim community and the Palestinian American community. You may have heard of this tragedy already, but in case you hadn't, I just wanted to make you aware, and I'll also invite you to an event on Saturday. So on Friday, one of our Tampa residents was killed, unfortunately, while he was traveling overseas to visit family. He's an American citizen. He was born in Port Charlotte. His name is Saifullah Musallat. He's a 20-year-old young guy, business owner here in Tampa. And he was traveling to visit his mother in the West Bank, which, if you're not familiar, the West Bank is Palestine, and it is not Gaza. So sometimes when we say that someone has gone to Palestine, we think, oh, they went into a war zone. No, he traveled to see his mother and his family in the West Bank, which is on the eastern border of Israel. Gaza is on the west, where the Mediterranean is. So if you're familiar with the region, around the West Bank, there are settlements where settlers are periodically, regularly, trespassing on Palestinian land and kicking the residents out of their homes. So they have a house, armed settlers come in and kick them out. And it's hard for us as American citizens, where we have so much diversity, so much understanding, so much police support, right? If you're in trouble, the police will come and help you. It's hard for us to imagine that someone would come to your home and kick you out, but this is what is happening in the West Bank. And so people are being kicked out by force. Now, Saifullah was there. He traveled there early June and was still there last week. And he was at his house. That was 3 minutes?
Yes, ma'am, but
So let me invite you then. That's the point. He was killed. He's an American citizen. Your constituents are grieving. And I would like to invite you to a memorial service for him, which will be on Saturday. And I have the address if I can read it. If I can't, that's okay. It's at the...
just read it real quick.
Okay. So the address for this service is at 5910 East 130th Avenue, which is at the Islamic Community Center right down the road. It's at 7 p.m. And the goal is to give condolences to his family. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you
Ms.
so much.
Thank you. Mr. Loeb.
Charles Loeb, Terrace Park. First of all, I'm very sorry to hear what the last speaker had to say. Secondly, I did to change the subject a little bit. I wanted to invite everybody we have a big audience here tonight, to everybody to the library sale. It'll be not this week, but next week, Thursday, July 24th, Friday, July 25th, and Saturday, July 26th from 10 to 4 p.m. Hopefully we'll get this type of crowd there on that day. The other thing I did want to mention very briefly, because it's a lot of time tonight, a lot of people are speaking tonight, is that I went over this morning in the dark, and the sign and the road sign crossing the street, I was on the sidewalk, laying down the sidewalk. That's very dangerous. I already talked to Carlos about this, and he's going to contact the people over at FDOT, but somebody could really be hurt running for a bus or something like that. And I do want them to be aware about that. When nobody says nothing, that's when problems happen. So I think I want to finish tonight. I do want to remind once again the library sale. Thursday, July 24th, Friday, July 25th, Saturday, July 26th, 10 to 4 on there. I hope to see a nice crowd like here tonight. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Loeb. G. Michael Ellison. Good evening, sir.
Good afternoon. How you guys doing? I came back to bring the football players. As you heard, they were outside. But I see you guys got a lot of pressing issues tonight. So we'll move out of the way, and I'll schedule for a appointment so I can bring the guys here and you guys get to meet them, and we can discuss about the help with the football park during practice. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Ellison. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Normandy Piccolo? Piccolo, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. Pretty confident I got the Normandy part right. I don't know if it's Piccolo or Piccolo. It's Piccolo. Piccolo, okay. Welcome, ma'am.
A little nervous. Second here. Put my little notes. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm just going to read from a document that I wrote just to keep it simple.
Okay.
Okay. My name is Normandy Piccolo, and I've been a resident of the city of Temple Terrace for approximately 25 years now. Temple Terrace, to me, has been known as the city of trees. It's also known as the kidney stone capital of Florida due to its hard mineralized water. I know that personally. Getting kidney stones was the only issue I used to worry about when it came to Temple Terrace water. I never imagined that the city would fail to protect myself and other citizens with cancer-causing raw sewage contaminated water. I personally feel violated, hurt, and disappointed by the city, and my trust in the city to protect me and my family is all but lost. The city recently became one of the hottest new dining locations for foodies, families, and popular social media influencers, particularly with the Terrace Ridge Plaza, a lot of new businesses. Now it's becoming known for its polluted water with dangerous levels of PFOs, PFAs, and raw sewage. It's the equivalent of bathing, washing dishes, preparing food, washing clothes in a toilet bowl loaded with cancer-causing chemicals and fecal matter. It is unacceptable and disgusting. Let me ask you a question. How would you like to have a meal prepared inside a chemical and fecal-tainted toilet bowl? Not too appetizing of a thought, is it? But based on the current water report, that is reality. And that's the reality for Publix, who prepares food for people. They use the water. All the restaurants around here use the water, as well as the citizens. Social media influencers have posted about the businesses in the city, and the attention helps generate revenue for the city. But what happens once those same influencers learn about the cancer-causing chemicals and raw sewage in the city of Temple Terrace water? Social media is very powerful. It can make or break a business, and business owners might flee, which would result in a loss of revenue for the city. The city of Temple Terrace would not only have egg on their face, but rotten egg, because the serious issue of health and safety concerning the water is being delayed until 2029 or possibly longer. What plans does the city of Temple Terrace have to help protect the citizens, businesses, and visitors while the current system remains out of compliance with current regulations? The alarm bells for these high levels of contaminants and potential of 1 in 3 people in the city of Temple Terrace getting cancer due to the water should be ringing louder than the Krakatoa volcanic eruption of 1883. The citizens of Temple Terrace are concerned about factual considerations as they are at risk, trust, and protection beyond the minimum legal standards. The residents of Temple Terrace want access to and plain language explanations of results regarding all detected PFAs dated, including the 25 other PFAs compounds noted in the water notice and any other contaminants that might be in the water. We, the citizens, which include renters, vulnerable residents like nursing homes, people with illnesses, the HCA emergency room, schools, and more, pay for this water, this poisonous, contaminated water. We deserve and want top quality water well beyond the legal minimum. It is the city's job to make this happen, so do it and sooner than 2029. Thank you.
Reed Lewis.
Hello, everyone. So I'm going to be talking about the elephant in the room, the PFAS. So my job here is to try to conceptualize this and put it into perspective for you. So PFOA, tiny particle. It's measured in parts per trillion. Today you're going to hear about people doing their own home tests for PFOAs and other things. So they take a test tube similar to this, 10 milliliters. Do you know how much PFAS it would take, PFOAs it would take, in order to contaminate this entire tube? 4 femtoliters. That's a new word for me. All right, that's 10 to the negative 12th, just for perspective. And it's so small, I handed out a handout to you all to try to quantify this amount. And it's so small that I had to put it into my own form of measurements, drops per Olympic swimming pool. And so it's for PFOAs, the legal limit is 0.2 drops per Olympic swimming pool, not even a full drop. And this is a dangerous substance, but we don't even know how dangerous it is. This is why the EPA has determined that it's an interim lifetime health advisory level, not a permanent one such as the Gen X chemicals and the PFBSs. And I want to focus my conversation on those today. So PFOS, bad. PFOAs, bad. Okay? However, we are far below the typical American city. 48% of American cities are dealing with PFOA levels higher than what is legal. 70% of American cities have registered PFOS levels higher than the legal level. This is not a Temple Terrace issue. This is a national issue. This is something that we need to bring to the federal government, not bring to Temple Terrace City Council. And I'm just trying to put that into perspective. But there is one that I want to highlight, the Gen X chemicals. All right, and the reason why I want to highlight those is because our numbers are massive. And they're the only ones where we know, again, it's not an interim lifetime health advisory level. It is a factual lifetime health advisory level that the EPA has proven. We know we are higher than that. But again, this is not a Temple Terrace problem. This is a Hillsborough County water problem. But these levels are so high, it is my unprofessional opinion, just the recommendations from what I've been able to deduce from talking to other academics, is that there might be something worth investigating when it comes to manufactural waste disposal in the Tampa area in general. So again, not a Temple Terrace issue, but a Hillsborough County issue. So I just wanted to put all of this into perspective for you as we talk about this difficult topic. This is an advanced science, and the science is still being done. And so don't listen to the alarmists, but we should be monitoring this and bringing it towards the federal government level, even internationally. So thank you so much for your time today. I do appreciate it.
Thank you. Liz McGreeny? Good evening, ma'am.
Hi, how are you? So my name is Liz McGreeny. I'm a Temple Terrace resident. I've lived here for about 10 years now. I just was diagnosed today with 6 kidney stones. First, I want to acknowledge that the report, I'm here to talk about the water issue. I want to acknowledge that the report showed that there had been some violations related to the presence of certain harmful chemicals, which are over the EPA limits. These contaminants pose serious health risks linked to cancer, reproductive issues, immune system issues, and developmental concerns. What's more concerning is that these contaminants cannot be removed simply by boiling water. So everyone who lives or visits Temple Terrace and drinks or eats the food that was cooked with the water is affected by the issue. Then the report showed that there was fecal matter found in our water too. It is important to note that a city water treatment system at its basic level should be able to filter out fecal matter. So treating our water requires proper filtration systems and processes, which we currently do not have a basic functioning system as we have fecal matter in our water. If the government cannot fix this system quickly, they should consider providing residents and businesses with immediate support, like offering rebates, tax incentives, or discounts for such things as water delivery, portable filtration systems to ensure access to safe water. We need a timeline for this project of research. I know you had mentioned in a news report last night that you needed time. There needs to be time, but we need a project with a timeline. We also need a report in our water bills. So many people weren't even aware of this, except for the Facebook team and putting it out there for Facebook. It's not fair to renters. It's not fair to the business owners that didn't get this information. We really need to have
Let me stop
transparency.
you for just a second, and I'll give you your time back. Those in the gallery need to confine their comments to when your turn is. I don't want to have to ask you to leave. I really don't want to do that. So please remain silent Everybody who wants to speak will be given an opportunity, but it's one speaker at a time, okay? So now I owe you about 10 seconds left, so if you get to the end and it buzzes, you can go on for about 10 seconds.
So again, I really think, I know that taking, this is a massive undertaking, but we need something done. We have a lot of people here. I don't think there's ever been a meeting like this before. And I think we need to come up with an idea of what we can do for everyone in the interim till this 2031 is possible. I don't know if there's research that can be done. The city can look at getting, group rebates, discounts for us, but I think a lot of us would probably appreciate it to get that done. I have a water system, I'm lucky, but I'm here thinking about the school, Corpus Christi. My son attends there. They don't have this filtration system. I just told my son, don't drink the water. Wait till you come home. We really need to think about this for all of our kids and for the people of Temple Terrace. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura Sophia. There we go. Good evening, ma'am.
Hi. So I'm here to talk about, well, first of all, my name's Laura Sophia. I live in Temple Terrace. I've lived here since 2021, but my family's been in the Tampa area since the 80s. So anyway, I came to talk about the water. The three people before me have pretty much touched on everything I was going to bring up. The one point I wanted to make was I think it would be a great idea to have a dedicated town hall meeting to this topic instead of trying to just add it into a city council meeting. So maybe we could make that happen, and that way I think we'd have a lot of people that would come in and speak, maybe even have people from the city water department come and talk to us. I think that would be a really helpful thing to do. The other thing is, I know that the city of Tampa kind of had the same issue, and they got ahead of the curve by having a consultation with, I think it was Carrillo Brothers, environmental engineering firm. And in 2020, they came in and they did an 8-month pilot program with the water department. It worked out so well, they ended up installing the suspended iron exchange system, the SIX system. And now their water levels for all these chemicals that we've all been talking about are below the danger level, so to speak, or at least they're closer. I know that project is going to be ongoing until 2032. But I feel like they at least got ahead of the curve and they're trying to be proactive about it. And I'd love to see Temple Terrace take a similar path. And that's all I got.
Thank you, ma'am. Neil Scott. Good evening, sir.
Hey, how are you? Thank you for your time and attention to and giving us time to speak about the water issue. I know it's an emotional issue, especially for me. This is like the emotional doom, but unfortunately for me, my name's Neil Scott. I've lived in Temple Terrace for over 30 years, over there by the community church. Wow. My daughter was diagnosed with childhood leukemia here in Temple Terrace. In '95. So learning about pollutants in water was a big issue for us and our family. And you want to have a sense of urgency and respect at the same time. When we say don't panic, it's like, well, agreed, there's science and some variation, but to folks that feel threatened, especially children, and Temple Terrace being a city of families, you really want to raise the level of urgency to protect them, especially on the knowledge side, right? So we don't want to panic, but we don't want to downplay. So my one point is, I would say, is please raise the level of urgency. A small bulletin or something is probably not enough. I mean, this is an extremely dangerous chemical. Our levels are order of magnitudes higher than our surrounding areas. If you click the the Environmental Working Group site, we're at 20, they're at 5, 6. We don't want to be that. Per the points raised before, as far as our property values and business values. Second point, so one, raise the level of urgency and the level of visibility and sharing in resolving the problem. Two, we're not the first. So there are other, I had sent some emails. We actually had visited the Wilmington area, and we had some family up there. And there's a chemical company up there dumping very dangerous chemicals into the Cape Fear, which is polluting the water for about 1.5 million people in that area. And I clicked on their button, and they're at 20. And they've put in some mitigation filtering. I think they use GAP. They didn't use the ionization. So my second point is there are other people battling this, and there are options. And then the third point I would make is I support the fact that we're sort of in this together, and I think we should sort of, because it is so important, is dedicate the necessary resources and time, maybe as per se, actual meeting just to address the water issue, because apologies. I'm done. Having experienced the impact of cancer in our family and to our children, it is an extremely serious issue. There are a lot of chemicals out there. It is an extremely, sorry, I'm out.
Thank you, sir. Tracy Smith. Welcome, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Tracy Smith. I've been a Temple Terrace resident about more than 25 years. And me, along with all of these friends here, new friends, we're worried about the water. Like many people in the country, I'm working on getting healthier, which means drinking more water, eating more fruits and vegetables, all that kind of stuff. All that means water. And so I'm very concerned with the water. I understand that it might take a while to get it under control for the city. So my hope is that we can worry about it basically for each of us in our own homes. And I'm hopeful that someone from the city could reach out to some of the different water filtration companies that have the different water systems, maybe come up with a discount or something if we want to purchase our own water filtration system for our home, that we'd be able to do, because we could do that immediately. I've reached out. You can get a whole house water filtration system for starting at about $3,500 and up, but if maybe the city talked to some of these places, maybe they could get it down to $2,500 if enough people were willing to do it. Just an idea. Also, I was hoping that maybe someone from the city could start looking into if there's grants or anything like that that could help with paying for water filtration systems for each of us, because it's really important. It's cancer, but it's also Alzheimer's and dementia that these different chemicals can cause. And I know all of us are concerned with those kinds of things, and so I'm just hoping that you guys can maybe have someone in the city start looking into some specific help for us. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Albert Coleman. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Albert Coleman. I live in Temple Terrace almost 30 years. I've raised my kids here, and I've grown to be a senior here and love this community very much. I'm here on the water issue too, as well. All the speakers before have been very elegant in telling you how they feel about the situation. So I don't want to repeat myself. I think it's real important that this council and the staff and administration of Temple Terrace look into this matter. You have received some good suggestions about community alert, having town meetings and things of that nature to get the community more involved in what the city is doing. Right now, we're on alert. I mean, I eat at several restaurants throughout this Temple Terrace area. This morning, my wife was very alarmed about, when we was eating, should I drink the water? After reading the report, we was in Oregon and we came back to our neighbors and everybody was up in awe about what they read. And I read the report too. And being a former government worker myself, I know that the government, and we entrust you as elected officials to do the right thing, to make sure that we feel safe about our community, the water, and where we live. So that's all I really want to say, to reiterate what you have heard before, because the people before me have very elegantly shared with you some very good suggestions about how to make this better for the residents of this community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Amanda Moody. Good evening, ma'am.
Hello. Thank you so much for letting us come out and just voice our concerns. I am also here about the water. And I did read the ABC Action News report. I know you're very aware of what's going on. And we also know that you are drinking this water and you're bathing in this water and your families are. And so I know that this matter is probably important to you too. After I shared my story on a local Facebook group, I was asked to come speak to you tonight. Water has become my passion project. When we had some major health issues in our family back in 2023, my daughter's lab results came back showing dangerous levels of radium and uranium, and which these are radioactive materials. And I was just really confused about why is this presenting itself in her body? And our doctor directed me to ewg.org, where we entered our zip code and we saw what was reported in our local water. And I found that radium was 26 times higher than the health guidelines and uranium was 9 times higher. He told us to stop drinking our local water immediately. I also learned that getting a passing grade from the federal government does not mean that water meets the latest health guidelines. 15 contaminants total were found in Temple Terrace water, some of which I can't pronounce, but they did exceed the health guidelines. But each of them had one common thing, and it was the health effect of cancer. The current statistic is that 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women will get a cancer diagnosis in their lifetime. And even if you filter your drinking water, which not everyone can afford, you're still bathing in this water. This water is coming out of your shower heads and your bath and your sink faucets. And it's absorbing into our skin at the most vulnerable time when our pores are open. In a hot shower. We're brushing our teeth with this water, and we're washing our dishes with this water, and we're bathing our babies with this water. And so I'm just thankful that this conversation is happening, and I have faith that Temple Terrace can find a speedy solution to make us all feel more comfortable with our drinking water. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura Bolson. Is Raymond Lane here? Are you donating your time to Laura Bolsler?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're forfeiting your opportunity to speak. Yes, sir. And as a result, Ms. Bolsler, you have 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
I am going to just put the timer on my phone as well. My name is Laura Bolser. I've been a resident of Temple Terrace on my home for the past 10 years. I love the city. It's a beautiful place. We have a wonderful community, wonderful neighbors. I've never been to a city council meeting. This is my very first time. Unfortunately, I'm not here for reasons that I want to be here. As you are aware, after multiple emails, many residents found the recent water report disturbing on so many levels. Many contaminant levels were extremely high, specifically the POFA, PFOS, PFBS, and Gen X chemicals. All 4 is classified as forever chemicals. We all know they pose extremely dangerous health conditions, including cancer. I've spoken to too many people, and it's heartbreaking. I can't even get into details because I don't want to get upset and cry and ruin my time speaking. But I've had multiple people come to me. They've had kidney cancer, they've lost kidneys. I'm going to keep going on. It's unacceptable that it's in our water. What's more unacceptable is that you guys aren't doing anything about it for 4 years. The emails I got back from Carlos, you said you're going to do testing. So for 4 years, we're going to keep getting slowly poisoned? I mean, it's, like others said, we need a more sense of urgency. We know it's not a simple fix. We know it's a really big deal. We know this isn't easy. We know it's complicated. But we trust you. I'm totally not reading what I was supposed to be reading. We trust you. I've trusted this water. I've never went over the water report with a fine-tooth comb in the 10 years that I've been here because I trusted my city officials. I research, I dive deep, I go down the rabbit hole for everything I put in my body. And I trusted you guys. So I'm so let down by the responses and the lack of response, the lack of transparency, the lack of responsibility that we have experienced. These levels are high. You know, I've looked at the maps all over the country. You know, the fact that we've had human waste, come on, human waste, really? And we were never notified. We never got an alert. There was never a notice on our bill to, hey, you should get a filtration system. There's nothing on the website, nothing on Facebook, nothing. Just, we literally had poop in our water, and that's just unacceptable. I don't know what type of filtration system we have, but clearly it's not doing the job that it was designed to do, or maybe it's just so old. I'm not certain. You guys are the ones that can dig deeper into that and find those answers. Maybe it's staff turnover. I've heard there's a lot of staff turnover. That's what the woman at the health department told me, and she said she's working with you guys on $1 million of repairs. That's separate from the PSOF level and the other levels in the report, from what she told me. We'd like you to please identify the issues, obtain quotes to fix this. That's all we want at the end of the day. We just want clean, safe water. And, you know, if the financial, and I hate to say this, guys, and I'm going to apologize, if the financial ramifications are just too much for the city to handle, then we really need to seriously look at dissolving and disincorporating, because there's no amenity. There's no amenity that is the rec center, the library, the lovely senior transportation service. There's no amenity that's more important than having clean water. The city of Tampa did it 2 years ago. They were on top of it. They did a great job. I've never wanted to live there. May I say one last sentence? The hotline number on the report is disconnected. It's not in service. So there's no one to call to ask questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Tara McDaniel Brown.
Hi there. I'm Tara McDaniel. I've been a resident for over 30 years. I've been on the Women's Club, King High School band president as well. Very vocal in this city and supported all the time. You'll see me supporting it on the Temple Terrace Bulletin Board. There are a lot of things that the board and the city may not be able to control, but I believe our water needs to be a priority and controlled, and it seems like it hasn't been. I learned about the water issue from a neighbor. I didn't get the notice, and I pay the water bill. I got mine from my neighbor's sister. I, however, never fail to get the water bill. It always comes. But I was wondering why this wasn't with this. Okay? Most people probably saw it in this envelope and didn't think a thing about it. I also heard it came in blue envelopes as well. I don't know if that's correct. But my bill clearly states on a special message this time that you're going to incorporate late fees, and you're also going to, for penalties. But there was never, that's important to you. The water wasn't important. There should have been something listed on there. I also asked why this report was so microscopic. Would have rather had 14 pages. Do you think that's easy for anyone to read? Even myself, I have 20/20 vision. It doesn't show transparency, and this should not have been buried on a 7-page report. Should have been very clear. And the first sentence says, the city of Temple Terrace is committing to providing residents with the safe and reliable supply of quality drinking water. Is that true? Because that sentence doesn't ring true right now. I also mentioned that the mayor mentioned yesterday in an interview that he had just learned of this issue. This is a 2024 report, and that was 7 months ago. And the testing was done 4 months ago. What's transpired since then? And why are we taking the time this evening as a citizen, this is the first one I've been to as well, to hold you accountable for a job you should have already been doing? I would also like to point out on the very last page, it says to share this information with all the people who drink this water, especially those who might not have received this notice directly. How is that our responsibility? That should have been done and made sure that everybody has it, no matter how they get it. I should be able to drink my tap water. The feces is unacceptable. The other things, everybody deals with that. Feces is a problem. I was a nurse for 30 years. I know. I've dealt with feces many times. These all have health effects and exposures. Well, I was just going to ask you, do you feel comfortable drinking the water? Then why should we?
So, Mr. B, I know we're going to discuss this at some point. You want to discuss it now, or you want to do it to the city manager? I mean, they're here, the media, news media is here, no point in making them sit through hearings.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Just to address, thank you everyone for being here this evening. So I have just a few slides to help, and I think we're going to address a lot of the issues that were raised here this evening. Brian, if you could pull up the slides. They're coming. Okay. So I know that the folks in the audience are probably well educated on this issue, so this is really probably for just general information. So we've been talking here this evening a lot about PFAS. So just background on this issue. So for decades, companies like 3M and DuPont and others manufacture chemicals called per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances, or PFAS, which included compounds such as PFOA, PFOS, and PFHXS. These chemicals are found in many products. They're basically almost universally present, including nonstick cookware, water-repellent clothing, fabrics, carpets, cosmetics, some firefighting foams from old times, certain dental floss, products that resist grease, water, oil, etc. So they're very prevalent, and they enter the environment sometimes as they are manufactured, when they're used, or if a product with PFAS is disposed of. So today, we now know that PFAS does not break down, so it's widely present in soil, water, air, even in people, animals around the world. So recent court action that's been taken against these chemical companies has brought to light that since the 60s, these companies have known that PFOA and PFOS are persistent in the environment and pose a risk to human health, yet they've continued to sell those chemicals. I'm just trying to get the clicker over to you guys, sorry. Continue to sell these chemicals without disclosing those risks. So in terms of the water system, water utilities like ours, Temple Terrace, now first of all, we don't use nor do we create PFAS chemicals. And in the case of Florida, the state of Florida has the primary responsibility for enforcing the Federal Safe Drinking Water Act. And our water system meets the current Florida drinking water standards. And I understand what folks are saying in the room about meeting the standards and having the other concerns addressed. I understand that. We're going to address that as well. So in April of 2024, the EPA promulgated its first ever enforceable maximum contaminant level, which is an MCL, to call it an abbreviation for that, for 6 PFAS compounds in drinking water around the country. And this 2024 action marked the beginning of a multi-year compliance timeline for water utilities across the nation. At present, the EPA is requiring mid and large-sized drinking water systems, like ours would be a mid-sized system, to complete initial monitoring by 2027 and to implement solutions to reduce PFAS levels that exceed the proposed MCLs. By 2029, they've actually just issued a change to that that's now until 2031 because they're recognizing some of the challenges that a lot of water systems are going to have to address this. The EPA announced also in May 2025 that it's repealing the MCLs for all but PFOA and PFOS. So I just want the public to know that as we're learning that ourselves here. The numbers, as was noted, so the EPA's rules that go into effect in 2031 right now based on their change for PFOA and PFOS is 4 parts per trillion. That's been spoken of here. That is, in the case of Temple Terrace, we had tests conducted in March. That was what was reported out, and that was for PFOA 8.1 and 10.0 parts per trillion. PFOS was 19.3 and 19.5 parts per trillion. As was also mentioned by a resident here, The quantities we're talking about are very, very small, so our filtration system has to be very rugged and aggressive to get down to that level of minute measurement. So water systems across the country are going to need to engineer a comprehensive filtration and treatment solution. And as was also mentioned here by one or two people, they made a reference to the environmental working group site. So this is a site that I'm sure a lot of us have been on recently. They're an advocacy group looking at raising awareness about this issue. And they have an interactive map, which I welcome everybody to use. I've used it here. And they show, this is a map of the U.S., and the light blue dots are basically representing areas which they may be compliant, but in 2031, when the rules go into effect, the new EPA rules, they wouldn't be, based on the results today. And this was just to show you what Florida, in terms of Florida, again, you see that most systems are not in compliance, as we would not be in compliance today. So what are we doing? I think that's the most important question. So we tested for PFAS back in March. We reported those results to the city's water account users by mail. We also posted it online. We have a frequently asked questions page set up on the city's website, which we're going to be augmenting as we learn more about this issue. We have already directed our city water resources consultant, the company called CHA. We've tasked them with evaluating and recommending an appropriate PFAS filtration treatment solution. They have indicated to us that once that direction is signed off by the council, which we expect will be done perhaps as early as the next meeting, that they can have that study done probably within 2 months or so. Once we get that information, probably we're looking at the fall at this point, we'll bring that information back here to the council, present them with what we anticipate will be basic scope of what type of filtration system we'll need, costs, and an engineering and production timeline to make that system happen. We've also engaged the services of outside legal counsel to pursue compensation for costs related to PFAS from national chemical companies and distributors. Again, they're the ones that created it. It shouldn't really be a cost borne by all of us in this room because of something that they created. So we're working with that to help offset some of those costs to install this filtration system. Next steps, the findings and recommendations, as I mentioned, from that water resources consultant will be presented to council as soon as they are available. We will continue updating the frequently asked questions page on the website. We're also looking at, as someone mentioned here, grants and things like that. We're looking at grants. We know that during the Biden administration, there had been money provided in the federal government budget to offset some of the costs for drinking water systems to install these filtration solutions. We understand that under the current budget, that's not the case anymore. We also know that in Florida, there were some grants, et cetera. So we're going to be pursuing as much as we possibly can and understanding that issue. And anything we find, we'll be not only bringing to council, we'll be also putting on the city's website. So I wanted to lay that out in terms of PFAS to let you know that we are actively taking steps. I would also like to address the issue that's mentioned multiple times here about notion of fecal matter in the city's water. So that's in reference to, in the consumer confidence report that everybody received, or the folks received that mentioned it tonight, there is, it shows that the city is compliant with all the different elements that we measure for. There is a notion, element there about 3 samples that we had an issue with. So we test our water every single day. We sample the water every single day. We send it off for testing, and we do that throughout the year. And what happened in November and December of last year, what we found is we had a positive for coliform, not for E. coli. E. coli was negative, and E. coli is the better indicator of fecal matter. But coliform, we did have a positive. So subsequent to finding a positive, we have to do a follow-up sampling. We did follow-up sampling. We never had any more positives that came back negative. The issue that became a concern, and we mentioned in the letter, was that the follow-up sampling had to be done over consecutive days in a certain pattern, and that pattern wasn't done correctly, even though the results came back, again, negative and didn't show anything. So that issue, we have trained staff on a better procedure to make sure that doesn't happen again. Again, it's 3 samples out of sampling we do every single day throughout the year of the water sampling issue. We also, to address that issue, hired a third-party independent lab to come in, not just provide the sample results, but actually do the sampling for us to make sure that this was done clearly and above the board. They came through, they did the sampling of the entire city water system, and that showed that everything came back negative. There was no coliform and definitely no E. coli. I want to reiterate, we never found E. coli, which would again a more precise indicator of any kind of fecal matter. So we truly believe that was a sampling issue that was a false positive. On top of that, we sent out a notice in February to the residents, the water users. We mailed out a notice indicating this had happened, indicating that we'd also hired a third-party entity to do the testing. So I apologize for that having happened. Our staff, obviously, we're not happy that that happened. We've taken steps to correct that, and we've not had any issues since. So I just want to make sure that folks don't leave here thinking that there's this massive, problem with any kind of fecal matter with the city system. That is not the case. I've tried to explain that this evening. And I also want you to understand that we are taking steps, and we hope that over the next several weeks we'll have a proposal in place to allow us to address the filtration system, to address the PFAS issues in the water, and bring that to the council's attention so that we can move forward as soon as possible.
Thank you, Mr. Beard. So council members, this is not a town hall meeting, so we don't have dialogue at this point, but if there's any questions. We're not doing this in this format, okay? But if there's questions or comments that you'd like to make, we can go down to Councilmember Kravitz.
So first, I just want to say thank you to everyone who came. It's great to see that level of engagement. I know how hard it is to speak in public sometimes, and especially if you don't have very much experience. And it takes a lot of courage to come and share your thoughts in the way that you did, and of course your experiences. I do have some questions for the city manager. I hope we can. And actually, the first question would be for the city attorney, if I may. This PFAS litigation that we've joined, could you share some details with us about that?
We haven't joined. At this time, we haven't joined the litigation aspect of it. We're into the settlement aspect, where we would just be trying to get money from these different firms. We hired a local law firm who is also affiliated with national law firms who have been doing this type of settlement work for the last several years. One of them's out of New Orleans, one of them's out of Dallas. So we have kind of a conglomerate of experienced law firms that are working on this. And like I say, importantly, we engaged with someone that's going to be local too. So that's important to us.
And would it be reasonable to expect a memorandum from the legal department in Temple Terrace about what the status of the settlement discussion is in the next couple of weeks, or the history of that litigation from our standpoint?
If the city council would like that, I can, if they ask for that, I'll be more than happy to provide that.
Well, I'll make a motion to that effect later. So thank you for that. That's good to know. And the other thing that I'd like to point out is that in the consumer confidence reports that we send out, there are 8 basic requirements. And one of the requirements, I think, that really came through tonight is how important it is to allow public participation, to keep people up to date about what's going on, to inform them. And I've always been a huge believer in transparency, and I think everyone should just put their cards on the table when it comes to government, because not only is that legally required, but it's also the right thing to do. And the thing that our CCR didn't have, unfortunately, was information about public participation opportunities. So that's exactly what I've heard a lot of people ask for tonight, to have a town hall. And also the other thing lacking was information for non-English speaking populations. And there are a couple of other minor quibbles that I might have with that notice that went out as well. For example, there were hyperlinks included in a text document, a printed page document, which obviously you can't click on. And the underlying URL of that link was not provided, so it was just like a link where you see the text, click here to go to this website, but then you can't actually figure out what the website is. So these are all things that I think are legitimate criticisms that we really could address. And another point I'd like to make, which I found to be a little surprising, just because my wife is a little bit obsessive about some of these things and very detail-oriented, and she catches things that I miss all the time. The public notice that was put out on July 3rd, it had a reference to a system that was going to be installed, that was going to be examined for installation, potentially, consisting of granular carbon and ion exchange resin. And today, when she compared the screenshot that she'd taken of that page, now it says that water resources consultants are doing evaluating and developing a filtration and treatment system. So first of all, really great that we're moving in that direction. Personally, I really welcome that, because I think water quality is important. We shouldn't really, I don't think anyone up here opposes better quality water or water that has fewer issues. But it is a little surprising to see this document change in its contents without having a notice that the contents was changed, or maybe that it was backdated to that date. So if you compare it, it says the same date, but now it has different information. So I would expect a new document maybe to appear with a new date, or maybe some sort of like an editorial notice like we do in printing magazines or whatever, that you reference a previous issue and you say, we made a mistake and please forgive us and here's new information. So that was one thing that stood out to me. And just another general comment about these chemicals. Obviously, I'm no expert on this. The chemicals that are be tested for are roughly 30, I believe. There are 1,000 of these sorts of chemicals. The 30 that I believe were singled out by the EPA are ones that are known to have issues. So, of the overall quantity of chemicals, we're testing at 3% of these. So that's just a thought that I had. And my final comment is, I think we have to do quarterly reports on the water quality. The first one for 2025 came out in March, and I wasn't able to find a second quarter report for June. So I'd be curious if the city manager might be willing to answer about that second quarter report, whether that's expected or exists and just hasn't been released.
So the test that was done in March was part of the was not part of the quarterly reports for PFAS. It was part of the UMCR 5 reporting. We will have to do quarterly reports prior to 2027. So we're planning to start that process too. And in fact, we'll probably end up doing other testing because the consultant will probably be expecting that testing in terms of designing a filtration system.
Yeah, great. So those are my initial comments. And like I said, I have some motions to make later, but because I don't want to preclude anyone else from saying their piece, I'll be happy to yield the floor to anyone who would like it.
Vice Mayor?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you to everybody who came out tonight. I personally, in the last 2.5 years, have experienced both cancer episodes as well as numerous kidney stones. Some of them were quite emergent and were very close to being septic. So I am very sensitive to the physical conditions that you people, that my neighbors have experienced, having had lived it. And the impact of that is not lost on this council. I've sat on this council for 7 years now. And when we have a problem, we all have a problem, okay? Again, we all drink, our water comes from underground. Some water comes from above ground, like City of Tampa. It's a little easier to deal with. But we all live in the same aquifer. We don't even know where some of these chemicals entered the aquifer, and that's a problem. It's something to deal with. I have full faith and confidence in the administration and in this council. I've had 27 operations in the last 2.5 years, so I'm sensitive to what's going on with this, and many of them could be related to what's going on. I don't know for certain. But at any rate, I have confidence in the administration. I have confidence in the city manager's intention, as well as what this council's will do. We're not blowing smoke at anybody. We will do everything that we can as quickly as we can, but we got to do it the right way, and because we want to make sure we get the best process, that does the best job. We pump 5 million gallons of water a day, and that's going to be a monster system to take care of that, no matter what it is. So I'm living it too. We all are living it, and I just ask for, we'll get this done, and I promise you that.
Councilmember Fernandez.
Thank you. I would also like to thank all of you for coming out, because ultimately we serve you, the people. And I know some of you have said, this is my first meeting. I've never come to a meeting before, but I encourage you all, even if you don't want to come to a meeting, to watch it, because you're the ones, we are your liaison between your daily life and city government. So you're the ones that keep us asking the right questions or looking in the right directions, because certainly we don't have all the knowledge or all the ideas. But I do have a few questions, and that is, our water comes from deep wells. And in a lot of cases where people, or water systems have been able to reduce and I do want to reiterate, I've lived here since 72, raised my 4 children here, we all drink the water, so we all have a vested interest in making sure that our water is safe. And so we have deep wells. We do not have surface water as our water source. And other jurisdictions have been able to clean up the contaminants in their water by identifying a pollution source, not just obviously filtering as well, but that has made a significant impact for them. But we don't have a direct source of contaminants. We don't have a lot of industrial, and I don't think that we have any industrial applications around any of our wells. So is there anything that we can do on the prevention side, and that might be in conjunction at the state level, or is every mediation that we can do going to have to be only at the filtration level?
So Councilmember, you are correct. My knowledge would be the same, that we don't have any source point of contamination. As was mentioned in the presentation, there's many ways for this PFAS, as we're learning, there are many ways for the PFAS to get into the environment and to get into different elements in the environment. So I believe that is probably what we're dealing with, which is the generalized PFAS infiltration, which is what many of the communities, most of the communities around us are probably also dealing with. We will definitely be working with all the entities, both federal, state, our legal partners as well, to get more answers as part of this. The consultant, I'm sure, will be very critical in that process as well, trying to understand, okay, should we be looking for something else here? So those are the questions we'll be posing to that entity, as well as the other partners that are all trying to address this. And I'm sure we'll be talking to other consumer drinking water systems also, to have understanding as to what they've tried so far, what's worked, what's not worked, et cetera.
Okay, so I know there is a location in the country where there was the direct pollutant, stop the pollution from pouring in, have also filtered. Do we know that in that community, I don't have the answer to this, so I'm asking, in that particular community, which I believe is Cape Fear, they have put a charcoal filter system is what they use, I think. Anyway, is there a way that we can find out if their system is actually coming in at maybe similar levels to us, or have they actually achieved what the goal is through their system? Because I know that some of it was, they did stop the pollutant from entering, but at the same time it was already there, so it had to be filtered.
Correct. My understanding was they had a rate that was like 125,000 parts per trillion, or some really massive amount. So we can look at Cape Fear to see where one of the gentlemen here in New York, Mr. Scott, perhaps mentioned it, I think. We can look at what they did as a comparison as well, and then pass that information on to the consultant, just again, as part of the process.
Okay, and then I have another question about that process. So we are in the process of updating our water treatment center. And I know that this is going to come in front of us as a change order, because this filtration installation was not part of the original. So can you describe exactly what this consultant is going to do in order to address the concerns that we do have with the level of pollutant in the water?
Sure. So the consultant, we have under contract already, as you mentioned, they're doing a water treatment facility study, and that was already commissioned several months ago. They're looking at our water facility just to make improvements. Our water facility is it's aged, and so they're looking to make improvements and make recommendations for capital improvements, which we're going to propose to the council in the upcoming budget years. What we've asked them to do here is to propose, research our water system, look at our samples, and come up with a recommendation for us, for the council to consider, as to a treatment solution, a filtration system that will be adequate for the amount of water that we're putting out and with our permit levels, and that will give us not only just what that is, timeline for permitting and construction, because it's something that has to go through a probably elaborate permitting system, and then a cost, so that we have all that information. We expect that from the day we sign the contract, I believe in, like I said, 8 to 10 weeks is what they're telling us that it would take for that information to be relayed back to us. At that point, then what we would likely do is have a conversation with the council as to, okay, do we want to proceed with that? And then figuring out a way to pay for that. The cost numbers we're looking at right now are anywhere, again, from 10 to 20 or $30 million is what we're preliminarily
But we
learning.
don't know.
We don't know. This is, again, even information is from the consultant. Just, again, right now is what we won't know until the details are ironed out. And then we have to figure out, again, whether that is some sort of a bond against the water system. That would probably be the solution, honestly. And again, looking at the legal avenue to see if we can recoup any costs from the chemical manufacturers themselves and any grants that might be out there to help chip away at that cost.
Okay, so, and it's, right now, in our current water treatment system, we have to have some sort of filtration system in place, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so, and I don't know the answer to this, but is there something that can increase the magnitude of filtration? Or are they going to tell us that an entirely new system has to be created? But so I'm thinking, you've got an infrastructure which has some sort of filtration already on it. I don't, if we have something and we can use what the infrastructure is and build on that, that would make more sense to me.
It could be that's the solution. I would think right now, based upon what we've researched preliminarily, that this would be a type of filtration system that we don't currently use. Again, I'm not the expert here. We're going to defer to the consultants who are engineers in this field to provide us with a recommendation if something can be added on to our current system, and that is a more effective, efficient, or cost-saving way, and it accomplishes the same thing. I'm sure that's something we'd look at, but I can't answer that question right now.
Okay, then I just have one more question. When you are instructing the consultant in this process, can you ask them about building in, not future capacity, we're limited as to the gallons we can source. However, over the years, we've filtered water for different contaminants. Okay, this has changed over the years. So it would be nice if they can include in their analysis a way to adapt or using similar infrastructure if we do need to change what we're filtering out or additional things that we need to filter out. I just want to ask them not to build a system that's solely focused on filtering out these chemicals when into the future we could find out that there's 10 others that we also need to remove, and then we're back at the beginning.
No, I understand. In fact, I can't speak to all the systems, but I believe the reverse osmosis system is one that actually really filters out a lot. In fact, sometimes communities with those systems have to put chemicals back in a sense, to, not chemicals, but elements back in to make the water actually drinkable. So, yes, we'll have that conversation with the consultant.
Okay, that's it for me.
Thank you. So, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for coming, expressing your concerns to us. Many of you did so very eloquently and engaged this with a really productive avenue. And so thank you for that. And I just want to assure you that this is not something that's being minimized or swept under the rug. And as I did state yesterday in the media, we learned of this. I didn't say we just learned of it. I said we learned of this right before you learned of it. Right? This is a new testing protocol that we've not been required. Nobody's been required. Well, I don't know about nobody. Somebody living next to a Superfund, maybe they have. I don't know. But normally cities have not been required to do this protocol. This is a new thing that the EPA mandated, and I would speculate probably wisely so, because everybody who's testing is finding the presence of these chemicals. So when they mandated this, obviously they suspected these chemicals were in our water, and it turned out I think they were right, because everybody who's doing the testing per their regulations is finding these chemicals. So I do want to remind everybody, as Mr. Lewis pointed out, this is not a Temple Terrace thing. This is not even a Florida thing. This is a United States, it's probably a global thing. I don't know about overseas, what they're doing, but these chemicals have been used for 80 years. And so we are going through what society goes through periodically. Think asbestos, lead paint, lead pipes, cigarette smoke, metal chrome plating on children's toys. We've been through this before, right? And so today it's these chemicals, and in 20 years it'll be something that we're doing commonplace today that will be discovered is actually harmful too. So we will tackle this. Nobody's minimizing it. We are drinking the same water that you are. I will ask you to get your information. We are going to try to make the FAQ page on our website more robust so that you can go there and get more up to date. We're going to try to do that. Right now, I don't think we have anything more to tell you. As time goes on and the consultant engages in this work, we may be able to provide updates. If we have substantive updates to provide you, so I don't think anybody's opposed to it, a meeting with you in a town hall environment. If we met now, I'm not sure what we would tell you because we think we've pretty much summed it up. But I wouldn't rule out a town hall. I mean, we're not hiding from you. We want to share the information with you. Why would we want to hide anything? There's nothing for us to hide. So I will tell you ahead of time, having been the mayor and lived through a pandemic, that was no fun. And I will tell you, I learned a few things, and I mark my words. The science on this will evolve. It will absolutely change, right? So as you see things happen, the numbers will change. There will be more research in, what's considered a dangerous amount, what's considered this, these numbers will change. I guarantee you that there will be change. There are already changes. EPA's already reversed themselves on some of the things. So it's very easy in this environment. It happened during COVID. Everybody points their fingers, oh, they're incompetent. Yesterday they told us masks didn't work. Now they're saying masks do work. Oh, do you get a vaccine? Do you don't? But that's the scientific process. That doesn't always mean there's a failure. That means that there's new research being done. There's new clinical trials being done. There's new things being learned all the time. So when things change, and they will, promise, when they change, don't jump to the conclusion, oh, the EPA doesn't know what they're doing, the City of Temple Terrace doesn't know what they're doing, nobody knows what they're doing. This will change, it will evolve, right? I guarantee you. So the first thing that we need to do, and we are doing it as you can hear, is to fully understand the problem, right? If you get diagnosed with cancer, they don't cut you open the next day. They want to fully understand the problem, what kind of cancer you have, where is it located, what are the dangers, what are the implications of this. They don't jump to the conclusions. They first want to understand the problem fully. That's where we are right now, right? We have some idea, but we've done one test. We need to do some more tests to make sure, is that consistent level over time? Does that test come in less, more? We need a baseline. We don't really have that yet. We have one test. So the first thing to do is more testing. We're going to get the consultant to do that. So we first need to understand the problem fully. Then we need to identify alternatives, which is what we're trying to do with the consultant. What is the best filtration system? Is it reverse osmosis? Is it I have learned recently that there are some new processes that are in the scientific state. There's new processes that are being developed that may be more cost effective and more effective at removing these chemicals from the water, but they haven't hit the market yet. And so I don't know if those are viable options or what the timetable is for those. We don't know the answers to those things yet. Then we will evaluate the potential effectiveness of what's the best route. Is it reverse osmosis? Is it something that's coming out next year? Is it, I don't know the answer to that. But what we don't need to do is invest millions of dollars of your money in a system that may or may not work correctly. And to Councilmember Fernandez's point, what other things are out there or potentially out there? We want to make sure that whatever we put in place is working for these chemicals, but also some of the stuff that maybe we don't know or test for just yet. So we will act on this. This council, the city, the staff, we're not asleep. We're not just we'll send a mailer and we'll check out. That's not what happened here. And I do want you to understand, this is not a Temple Terrace thing. So far, almost everybody who's testing for these chemicals is finding these chemicals. And the ones that haven't found them, it's because they haven't done the testing protocol yet. So you watch that map and it's going to be nothing but dots, right? So let's keep this in perspective. And if you took a shower today, right, you have rubbed this stuff all over your body, right? If the clothes that you're wearing probably contain PFAS or PFOS or some of these other families of chemicals. I don't know whether the contact with skin and your shampoo, I don't know what I don't know. Right now we have a lot of questions. But we're going to get the answers to them and we're going to act. And so one thing I do want to remind you on the stipends, and this is for the 31,000 people who are on the water system. You guys have to collectively figure this out. The enterprise system, the water and sewer system is an enterprise system. It's separate and apart from the operating budget. It has nothing to do with property taxes. So what we do essentially, now finance director will say it's a lot more complicated than this, but essentially we take the hard cost of providing water. Right? There's a real cost to providing. When you turn on the faucet, that costs money to get that water to your faucet. So if that cost is, I don't know what it is, let's just say $10 million a year, whatever it is for that. We divide that up by 31,000 people or however many accounts that is, and that's how much your rate is. That's your water rate. That's how we come up with your water rate, which is already going up probably 5% this year just to cover inflation. Okay? If we give you, or not you, but I mean, if we divided this up and said, okay, 31,000 people are going to get a stipend or a rebate to use towards, so we give you $250 or $500 or whatever that decide. We could do it, right? But let's just suppose that cost us, $5 million or whatever it cost us. We could do that, but then we would have to recover that money because we still have the hard costs of providing your water. So we could take out of that fund and say, okay, here's $5 million divided by 31,000 and here's your $250 check or $500 check or whatever it is. But then we would have to raise your water rate next year instead of 5%, 50, whatever it is to offset that amount of money. There's no hidden pool of money here that the city can just, we're going to forgive, give everybody a stipend. It's your money. We don't have any money, folks. The city doesn't have any money. It's all our money. So there's no pool of money to get. I mean, if that's the way the residents want to do it, I mean, if they say, yeah, that's what I want, and I'll pay I'll pay the higher rate next. I don't think you want that, but I mean, if that's collectively what the city wants, what the residents want, we could probably make that work. But stand by for your water bill because we're going to have to recover all that money. So it's not just, I just want everybody to understand this is a standalone enterprise system. So sanitation's the same way, by the way. The garbage pickup is the same way. It's a standalone system. It's paid by user fees. So again, I want to thank you for coming. There will obviously be more coming on this. We are taking your concerns very seriously. I would encourage you to check the website. I will say, and this isn't directed at anybody in particular, but social media in general, it's a blessing and a curse of our times, right? It's a good way to get a lot of information out quickly. We make good use of it, but it's also like the telephone thing, right? And so it's not always the best source of getting your accurate, up-to-date information. I don't think it's intentional. I think it's, I tell you, we got 0.4 of this, and the next thing you know, we have 4 of this, and then he says, well, it's no longer green, it's blue, and it just gets, all kinds of stuff gets out there. And the first thing you know, it's grown a life of its own, and people are like, oh my gosh, my water's poisoned. It's not. I'm drinking bottled water now, but I'll go fill it up if you want. Right? We're drinking this, our families are drinking the same water you are, all right? So this whole thing about the restaurants are going to close up, where are you going to go? Tampa? They got it too. I mean, this is not a Temple Terrace thing. This is not a failure on our part. Our system's not broken. Our systems, where water's in compliance with all the regulations. We're not out of compliance, right? Is it a problem we have PFAS in the water? Yes. We want to get that number to 0? Yes. Right? But drinking this, I mean, this is in the plastic bottles. Anybody tested this? I don't know what's in that. Right? And that's no dig on Zephyr Hill. I don't know, maybe they do. I don't know. But So thank you again for coming. We have some just kind of mundane business. You are welcome to stay. We're going to approve.
Various motions.
Yeah, we're not finished discussing, I don't think.
Well, we've been down the dais.
Yes, but
Okay, Councilmember Kravitz.
Thank you. So I was really happy to hear that you're open to a town hall, so that's actually my motion. So I'd like to move that the city instruct staff to hold 2 public information sessions, one in person and one via Zoom on water quality reporting and testing, with the first session to occur within the next 4 weeks. So that would be my motion.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
Will we have any additional information?
That's my question.
I think, yeah, if I may.
Mr. Bear, when will the next testing be done? Will it be done by the consultants, or will it be by the third party?
It'll probably be done by the consultants as part of their kickoff to their work program. So I imagine it'll be done shortly. I mean, within the next several weeks. They still have to come to us for your council's blessing on the change order, which again, we're going to get that hopefully by the next council meeting. So yeah, that's to answer your question. That's what we envision right now.
And so when would we have additional information or another round of testing, potentially? Say everything fell in line, how long will it take to get the testing back?
I can't, not that I don't want to answer your question, I really don't know, because
Okay, that's
I
fair.
don't understand. Right now, not having a consultant here to answer the question is like, okay, when do you need to start your testing and when are the results? I'd rather have them answer that. They can do that once we bring their contract or their change order to you. They will be here. You can ask them directly that question.
Well, my point is, I have no problem having the town hall meeting, but I don't think we need to have a town hall meeting just to regurgitate everything that we've done so far. I have no problem with the town hall meeting, get another set of fresh data and new information. Perhaps we'll have some preliminary information back from the consultant, and we can have a better dialogue, which actually will supply new information to both us and to the public. I have no problem with that, provided we have it. Yes, I don't necessarily need it in the next 4 weeks, because we may not know anything different than we know now. So that'd be my only comment on that.
Yeah, I wouldn't support, it's premature. I'm not opposed to the idea of a town hall.
Yeah.
But I've been at this business for a while. Worst thing you can do to these folks is set a time frame now, and in 4 weeks, you've already said you're gonna do a town hall in 4 weeks. They take time out of their life to come to the town hall, and you have nothing new to tell them, and they go, well, that was a big waste of my time. Why did I go to that? I mean, conceptually, I'm great with the idea of a town hall. When we have something new to tell people, that's a great thing. But setting the timeline now, I think, is premature.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Be recognized.
Councilmember Kravitz.
Thank you. I just want to point out, the point here is not to bring new information out. The point is to remedy the fact that we didn't comply with the legal requirement of offering a public participation opportunity when we sent out the CCR notice. So we're actually just doing the thing that we were supposed to have done weeks ago anyway. So I understand we might not have anything new to share. I'm going to do it in Germany. So in Germany, where I practice as a lawyer, the remedy when you don't give people the notice that they're legally required to get is that you go back and you give them that later. So that's all I'm saying that we should do here, to give people an opportunity to speak in more than just 3-minute increments, which I think a lot of people would appreciate, and also to maybe attend something on a more flexible date that they could work out with staff, depending on the level of interest, so depending on the propagation of this meeting, so that people could actually register their interest and then find a date and communicate and work with the city to get their questions answered in a more neutral setting. Because up here, as has been pointed out, this is not a town hall. And I think people only want to have an opportunity to get their point across to someone from the city who will hear them. It doesn't have to be about giving people information. Sometimes it's important to just listen and hear what people have to say. And also, the other point here is that we didn't give out the information for non-English speaking populations. So if we get a number of people maybe who know Arabic or who know Spanish but don't know English, this would give us an opportunity to pick those people up as well, which I think would be very wise. So that's the reason why I made this motion. Not because we expect to have more information for anyone in 4 weeks. That wasn't my point.
Any? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Nay. Okay, motion passes. So we will have a town hall in 4 weeks. within 4 weeks. Anything else, Mr. Kravitz?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda, well, we did that already. I'm sorry, let me turn the page here. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No nays. Consent agenda is adopted. Next is first public hearing and first reading of ordinance 1582, amending Chapter 12, Article 11, entitled Historic Preservation. I will open the public hearing, and our Senior Executive Assistant, Jeannie Barlow, will explain.
It's an emotional volcano. Thanks again. Sure.
They're almost done. Good evening, Ms. Barlow.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, City Attorney, City Manager. My name is Jeannie Barlow. I'm the City Manager's Assistant, and I'll be presenting an amendment to the city's Historic Preservation Ordinance on first reading. So why is historic preservation important? The City Council adopted Ordinance 1550 on August 15th, 2023, to amend the Code of Ordinances by adding a new Article 11 entitled Historic Preservation. By adopting this ordinance, it was the Council's intention to identify, protect, and enhance buildings, places, and objects of historical and cultural importance, significance. The preservation of historic properties ensures that the city's unique character and identity are maintained. Communities use historic preservation to protect important existing properties and chart a path for maintaining them. So let's review the benefits of becoming a certified local government, or CLG. The adoption of the ordinance was the first step in the city's goal of becoming a certified local government. The CLG program allows municipalities to participate more directly in state and federal preservation programs, which include access to funding. Grants that are available to municipalities include small matching grants for funds of up to $50,000 and special categories grants for funds of up to $500,000, with the matching portion waived for CLGs on the small matching grants. These grants can fund a variety of projects, including surveys, National Register nominations, rehabilitation work, design guidelines, education programs, training, structural assessments, and feasibility studies, to name a few. As a CLG, communities have direct access to the State Historic Preservation Office staff for assistance with their Historic Preservation Board, building assessments, surveys and nominations, and general preservation assistance, including training opportunities. So the process to becoming a CLG continues. After the adoption of the ordinance and the creation of the Historic Preservation Board, city staff certified local government application was submitted to and subsequently approved by the state. But confirmation was needed from the National Park Service in order for the city to receive official designation as a certified local government. After several months, the city received notice from the state that the National Park Service would not concur with the state's certification of the city's application due to one provision in the city's ordinance. So what is the National Park Service's objection? The National Park Service stated that a provision in the ordinance outlined a local designation process for historic districts that required 100% owner consent as a prerequisite for designation consideration. The National Park Service indicated that this provision was incompatible with the purpose of the local preservation program and did not allow for adequate public participation in the preservation program as required by the National Historic Preservation Act. The National Park Service noted that, quote, A reasonable person would agree that 100% owner consent prerequisite for districts is not designed to promote historic preservation nor to protect the community's heritage. The ordinance is not consistent with the stated general purpose of historic preservation programs at the federal, state, and local levels, unquote. The National Park Service further stated that the city would need to amend its ordinance to reflect a local designation process for historic districts that allowed for increased public participation in order to achieve CLG status. So how do we adhere to the National Parks Service's directive? As a result of the National Park Service's objection, staff is recommending the removal of Section 12, 1160A2, which states the following. The consent of all property owners of each property proposed for designation hereunder shall be required prior to any action by the board on a nomination for historic property designation, and the written consent of all property owners within a proposed historic district shall be required prior to any action by the board. But the city can allow for an objection process. The National Park Service permits an objection process for single property owners and more than 50% of property owners in a district prior to designation. With this in mind, staff is recommending adding Section 12, 1160A3, which states the following. In the event the owner of a property or the owners of more than 50% of the properties within a district object in writing to the proposed designation, either before or during the public hearing, then the application shall be withdrawn and not considered by the Historic Preservation Board at that time. Council action is needed. How does the city find a compromise? The recommended language addressed objections from property owners in the majority, but did not address those in the minority. In trying to find a compromise between the National Park Service directive to remove the city's 100% owner consent requirement and still allow for a substantially voluntary program, staff researched many CLG ordinances and discovered a provision in the City of Dunedin's ordinance that would allow for historic district boundary revisions for those property owners who did not want to be a part of the district. The City of Dunedin's ordinance stated the following. A decision to approve the designation of a historic district over an owner objection shall be by a supermajority vote. Modification of the boundaries of a proposed historic district is not a reversal of a council recommendation so long as a substantial portion of the recommended area is approved. Staff submitted the revised language to the state indicating that if the National Park Service approved the amendment, then it could potentially satisfy both city residents and the National Park Service. The state concurred and forwarded the revision to the National Park Service and received confirmation after several months that the City of Dunedin's approach was approved and the revision would allow the city to become a certified local government. Dunedin's language is a starting point, but clarification is needed. After further review of the proposed language revision, the city attorney and the city manager determined that the language was ambiguous and could raise questions in its interpretation. Staff contacted City of Tampa's Historic Preservation Manager, Dennis Fernandez, who had provided valuable assistance in the creation of the ordinance. To assist in clarifying the verbiage, Mr. Fernandez worked with our city attorney to revise the language in Section 12, 1160E2 to add the following. A decision to approve the designation of a historic district over an owner objection shall be by a majority vote of council. Modification of the boundaries of a proposed historic district is not a reversal of a Historic Preservation Board recommendation, so long as the modification is within the area that was properly noticed. The proposed language provides the council with two options. The council can decide to approve the designation of a historic district over an owner objection, or the council can decide to modify the boundaries of the proposed district to accommodate the objecting property owner as long as the modification is within the area that was properly noticed. These are the proposed revisions to the city's historic preservation ordinance on first reading. I will be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Barlow. Are there members of the public who wish to comment? Council members, are there questions? Councilmember Fernandez.
So when we presented this initially, there was a lot of concern among residents that it would stay voluntary. And I think that some of the discussion around the ordinance was that we don't necessarily have the same kind of overlay districts that might happen in, let's say, a place like Savannah or Charleston, where they have a high number of historic properties in close proximity. How would this change something for a resident?
For 1920s Mediterranean revival properties, they're not situated in such a way that it would accommodate a district. They're just all spread out. So this would not affect the 1920s Mediterranean revival.
Okay. That was a big issue that they had. That's it.
Vice Mayor.
What are the mechanics of this? How is this going to be affected or implemented, or how's this going to work with these changes? I mean, since it's not going to cover the 1920 houses, it's going to be the mid-century houses. So would the whole street then be required, or what's the mechanics of it now?
Mechanics is it must be set up by either the property owner themselves, owners, or the Historic Preservation Board if they survey an area and find that maybe with the mid-century moderns that it can be accommodated in a historic district. That's where it would start. It's either from the city or from the property owner. One property owner cannot designate another one. It has to be the consent of the property owner or the city.
Well, let me take Berwick Avenue, okay, down down by River Hills. It's probably 25 houses on the entire Berwick Avenue. So one person says, I think we should become a historic district. What has to happen?
What really has to happen is that we have to have a survey done, which is an expense that, we would need to accommodate, because right now we have a survey in place for the 1920s Mediterranean revival. It was done in 1988. So there's not much cost involved in having a designated property become historic, because a lot of the legwork was already done. If you're talking about doing this for mid-century moderns, you would have to have some kind of survey created, which would be at quite an expense, because we don't have any of that information now.
But it couldn't be done street by street. It would have to be the whole
House
area?
by house, that whatever district you want to designate, you would have to have a survey done of those properties in the district.
Councilmember Kravitz?
Ms. Barlow, I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Since this Historic Preservation Board was created in early 2024, how many property owners in Temple Terrace have volunteered to be in the program?
Not one.
Right. Thank you. So that's my question.
Thank you very much, Ms. Barlow. I will close the public hearing and ask Ms. Barlow to change hats and become the city clerk again and read the title of the ordinance.
An ordinance of the City of Temple Terrace, Florida, amending Chapter 12, Article 11 of the Temple Terrace Code of Ordinances entitled Historic Preservation, removing Section 121160A2 and adding Section 121160A3 regarding consent of property owners for proposed historic designation or district, revising Section 121160E2 regarding modification of the boundaries of a proposed historic district, providing for severability, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing authority to codify, providing an effective date. That is the ordinance by title, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Barlow. Is there a motion?
Move to approve on first public hearing and first reading the ordinance of 1582, amending Chapter 12, Article 11, entitled Historic Preservation.
Second.
Motion second. Discussion? Councilmember Kravitz.
Go ahead.
Vice Mayor can go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think this is classic government mission creep. When this board was created last year, people said it wouldn't remain voluntary. That's exactly what's happening now. I think that the expectation that there will be a lot of funding for historic renovations, it is not going to happen. I think that that's always used as a carrot, but unfortunately, it's a chimera, not a carrot, because it's not actually real. It's an incentive that only exists on paper. And I think that the fact that 0 people have joined voluntarily is telling. I think that we have some historic buildings in Temple Terrace, and personally, I love mid-century architecture. And I think whenever I see one of those homes, I want to protect it. But forcing people into a program like this, where their housing costs will become higher because if they're in a historically protected building, there are requirements to do renovations. It is not going to be easier for them to do repairs to their home. All of this will make those properties less desirable, which is why in other jurisdictions that have historically designated properties, you have a market value reduction for those properties. They are not worth as much as the properties that are not historically protected. And that, unfortunately, is the reason why 0 owners have voluntarily entered into the program. I want to come back to an idea that I had back then when I was not yet on council. I think I communicated it back then. It was to provide people sort of a designating plaque that they could obtain if they did a really beautiful job renovating their older home. And I think that this kind of civic pride really has a great effect without any impact on the budget, really, except for maybe $10 for the plaque or whatever. It's about what's behind it. And that's fully voluntary. You don't have to commit to being in this extensive program with a lot of regulatory oversight. So I think what we're seeing right now is a manifestation of exactly what everyone feared. And, I think back then I looked at the council meeting from 2024 that I remembered about this, and there was a discussion between the vice mayor and the mayor, and the vice mayor said specifically, is this going to be written in a way to prevent a future city council from making it mandatory? And the mayor said then, you can't bind future councils like that. And here we are, the future council, who is now going to make something that was voluntary mandatory potentially. So for my part, I'm a no vote on this. I don't think that we should put this on our residents. If people want to protect their homes, I think we should give them a way to express that desire that doesn't make it a legal requirement and that doesn't cost us a lot of money and that doesn't require a lot of bureaucracy. And I think we can all figure that out, what that might be. So that's my comment.
Vice Mayor.
I too was concerned with it becoming, mandatory over time. And, I understand that we can't encumber future councils to that effect, but I don't think this makes it potentially mandatory. I think this just makes it compliance so that we, so that we can affect the overall designation. I'm going to vote in favor of it, primarily because it doesn't. In order for you to do it, the whole region, the whole geographical section would have to do it, be it a street, be it a neighborhood, and but it doesn't require you to do it. You still have to opt into the whole process, as I read this, and as Ms. Barlow explained. So we had this on the books. We went to great lengths to get this done. We've already done the process through the state, and it's not going to cost us anything. There's no investment by the city in this that I can see, and I will support it. And it's disappointing that nobody has signed up for it, but not really surprising because it was primarily generated for the 1920s houses, and there was no way to make it mandatory throughout the whole thing. So I will support it, and just to clean it up and get back to the original intention of what we wanted. And I hopefully it never becomes mandatory, but we'll be long gone before that would ever happen.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Well, I am very conflicted because I am very much in favor of historic preservation. And obviously, I would like to encourage people to have their houses enter into this. I travel, I go to Charleston and Savannah and St. Augustine, and if it weren't for people in those communities determining to preserve properties, they would all be gone now. So I am, but I'm also very concerned because I don't want to create a situation where our Historic Preservation Board could potentially override the desires of the people that own the house and live in the house. So while I'm in favor of being a certified local government and having historic preservation as a goal of our city, I can't support having any type of mandatory of participation. So I'm a no on this.
Well, if I understand what everybody's saying about the mandatory participation, and I would, at the very beginning of this, we had very robust conversations about that component of it. If I really thought that this was a danger of going to mandatory districts, I would be a no also. But remember our initial discussions. We don't have anything that really fits the definition of a historic district in Temple Terrace currently. Now, I know there's discussion about, well, what about this street that someday in the future, these homes will be old enough that maybe they could constitute. But if you look at the definition of a historic significant, the definitions in the other part of the ordinance, just because it's old doesn't satisfy it. It has to be, it has to meet all these other criterias. I really think it's probably very unlikely that in 30 years somebody's going to want a certain street to be a historic district in the middle of a neighborhood that, I mean, I don't think that's a really, I mean, if I thought that were going to happen, I'd be against it also. If we had a bunch of 1920s homes and this was a way to compel them to become a historic district because they're all next to each other, I would be opposed to this also.
But our mid-century modern houses, we do have whole streets.
We do, but it's not just the age of the home. If you go back to the qualifications of what it takes, did somebody interesting live there? Is it unique or special architect? I mean, there's a whole matrix of qualifications. Just because you have a group of homes that were built in the 1940s, that alone does not qualify you as a historic district. If I thought this, and if you also remember back when we discussed this, we didn't even want to have historic districts in our ordinance. The only reason that we have them in there at all is because we're required to by the state and the National Park Service. We didn't want to even have historic districts because we don't have any. So we didn't even want that, but we found out, well, you can't be a CLG if you don't have that in your ordinance. And so I will support this because we worked for 50 years to get a historic preservation ordinance on the books. We knew when we passed it, we talked about it, that it wasn't perfect. We were going to have to make some adjustments. We knew that. We're not done yet. I still think we need to provide some more incentives to get people into the program. I don't think we're done yet. But we need to get the CLG designation, and this is what it's going to take to get that. We finally achieved something that the city tried to achieve for 50 years. If we vote no on this tonight, we've just reversed course and gone back to where we were, and we'll never get this. We'll never get it.
And now, is there a, so I guess then my question for you, and I don't know, maybe the attorney, but if I go to Savannah and there's a huge district of historic homes, and almost none of them were lived in by any person of note, but yet and I know that that's their ordinance that they've written, but if we have a historic district part of our ordinance, what's the difference between how they're determining a house falls into a historic district and how we would determine that? And I mean, I know my great-grandfather lived in one, and it's not a person of note.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know. I mean, I have to look at what the, offhand, I don't know either. I mean, I would have to look at their ordinance and see how their districts are developed.
Do you know, Ms.
I know what
Bartlett?
their rules are.
I was going to make another comment. I've looked at the ordinances of Plant City, Hillsborough County, and the city of Tampa, and if there is some comfort level with the council, if it would be easier if perhaps we implemented an appeal process into the ordinance, which would allow anyone who is been designated who doesn't want to be, to appeal the designation. Would that provide any comfort level?
May I be recognized to address some of the points that were raised previously in the discussion
Councilmember
before I
Kravitz.
move on to something like that? I just wanted to make two comments. One is, we're not reversing course, because even if we don't approve this, the ordinance as it currently is written would remain, which is voluntary, and that gives us an opportunity to make our case to property owners about why they should voluntarily be in the program. So we're not getting rid of the historic board, we're not getting rid of the Board of Adjustment, that's just for historic buildings. We're not getting rid of the voluntary ordinance, so it's not a step back, it's the status quo. And the second point is, I just want to read this out. A decision to approve the designation of a historic district over an owner objection shall be by majority vote. It literally says it's not voluntary anymore. And so the other thing that I'd like to point out, what happens is you'll have a street that looks historic. There are going to be a few buildings in there that are of particular historical note. And then it's not that every building on that street needs to be a noteworthy building, but that the ensemble of those buildings is then legally protected. And so suddenly you have a street that supports one or two historic buildings that itself becomes an historic district. Think about, like, if it were Disneyland, Main Street, right? Like, that's an ensemble. It's been built in a particular way, in a particular architectural style. That is what becomes protected. So it's not that an individual fixture on that street or an individual building on that street needs to be legally, historically relevant. Not everything on that street needs to be. It's just that in aggregate, that whole street, whether it's Berwick or somewhere else in Temple Terrace, reflects a particular architectural style that we deem protecting, worthy of protecting. So that's what this would open the door for. And then all of a sudden you have a system where property owners get notices in the mail, and then they have a legal problem that they all need to address, and they have to file an objection. And this is the direction that I think nobody really wanted to go in the last council, and I certainly don't think that this is what people need right now. So just to address those points, now I'm happy to yield the floor. Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Yeah, this is why I asked what the mechanics of the whole process would be. Okay, so I mean, suppose a street felt that they wanted to become a designated historic district. Does it have to be 100%? Does it have to be 50%? What's the trigger? You know, and we've always held the contention that it was voluntary. You had to opt in. So what does this ordinance change as far as that goes?
More than 50% object. It's not relevant. It does not become a district.
We didn't have that before. It was just, totally voluntary. But this is what the feds are saying has to happen in order for the state to be able to approve it.
It does, and if you look on the, if you look at the website, it states right on there that if a majority of property owners do not submit formal objections, all contributing properties, those that are considered historic and part of what makes the district eligible for listing, will be listed. So that is a requirement of anybody who wants to become a certified local government and reap the benefits of what that entails. And once again, I say we are the only city in all of the county that is not a certified local government. Plant City is, Tampa is, Hillsborough County. They're all certified local governments.
Would the council be amenable to, you're not here the next meeting, are you?
Nope.
No. But you're here on the 19th of May? Or August? Could we push it back to then till we have a full council? That'd be I would prefer to have everybody here at that point to weigh in, give us a chance to flush out some of these finer details, and come back and readdress it then. Would that be?
I don't know that there's any particular urgency
Yeah,
to.
exactly.
Already, so.
Maybe recognized. I'd like to motion to table this until the next council meeting.
No, we still don't have a full council next year.
I'm sorry.
To the next
Well,
full
I think-
council.
I think we have to withdraw this motion that we're currently discussing so that the tabling motion could be made.
That would be
So why don't we proceed with that first?
I have a question for staff. And that would be at the meeting that we do discuss this at, can we have information about the appeals process that maybe other jurisdictions might be using?
Yes.
So, but we need to withdraw this one.
That's correct.
Okay.
You made the second. I think I did. Whoever
I think I made the motion.
made the second.
Councilmember Fernandez made the motion.
You made the second.
You did.
I'll withdraw my second.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay, so we have a new motion. Councilmember Kravitz?
I'll motion to table this discussion until, what date should I say?
It's August 19th, I believe it is.
5th and 14th, 19th.
Okay, motion to table this motion until August 19th.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No nays? Very good, thank you. All right, next is the first public hearing and first reading of an ordinance approving an amendment to the planned development zoning district at 306 Bullard Parkway for application RZP 2401. I believe we have a request for continuance, and I will open the public hearing. And our Deputy Director of Community Development, Marissa Robinson, is here to explain.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. This is Marissa Robinson with Community Development. Community Development received a request from the applicant on July 8th to continue the first reading and first public hearing for the amendment to the planned development at 306 Bullard Parkway for date certain of September 2nd, 2025.
Are there members of the public who wish to comment on this? If not, council member questions? Okay, if there are no questions,
What do we do?
well, I'm trying to figure out where I closed the public hearing. It's been requested to continue the public hearing for first reading of this ordinance to September the 2nd.
You would leave it open, Mayor. You wouldn't close it.
That's right, because it's a continuance. Thank you, Mr. Mueller, thank you. So, if acceptable, continue, I'll entertain a motion approving to continue till the first public hearing and first reading of this ordinance to September the 2nd.
So moved.
Second.
Very good. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No nays. Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Next is a resolution adopting a tentative millage rate for fiscal year 2026, and our Finance Director, Jim Ingram, is here to explain.
Good evening, Mayor Ross and City Council. Prior to adopting this resolution to establish a tentative millage rate for fiscal year 2026, the council needs to take action at a regularly scheduled council meeting tonight to set a special meeting date for the first hearing on the fiscal year 2026 tentative millage rate and tentative budget. Originally, we wanted to hold the first hearing at our first council meeting in September, as is our normal custom. This would have been September 2nd. However, we were advised by the Florida Department of Revenue that the tentative hearing date should not be earlier than September 3rd and no later than September 18th. The hearing date and time can be held on Monday through Friday after 5 p.m., but cannot be on the same date as the school district or Board of County Commissioners. In the past, when this last occurred in 2020, we held it on Thursday of that week. This year, the Board of County Commissioners is having their first hearing on Thursday, so Thursday is not an option. In view of this, we request that the City Council set the tentative hearing date for Wednesday, September 3rd at 5:05 p.m. And following, we will then have the resolution, a substitute resolution with the September 3rd date. This is the only difference in the resolution for the millage rate, is changing this date from originally we had September 2nd Now we are proposing September 3rd. So my understanding is that at this meeting, you have to make a decision to hold a special meeting for the first hearing.
So my understanding, Mr. Mueller, is that we need two votes on this. And the first one is to change the date, and then the second one is we will dive into the resolution.
Yes, but just the correct, first one will be to set a special meeting.
Your microphone.
No, it's on.
Yes, what you'll be doing, it'll be two votes. First one will be to actually set the hearing for September 3rd.
Okay.
And then the second.
And then we'll
will be just
continue.
the resolution.
Okay. Council members, if it's agreeable, is there a motion to set a special meeting for the first reading of the budget for September 3rd at 5:05 PM?
Move to approve establishing September 3rd at 5 PM for the first.
5:05.
I'm sorry, 5:05, excuse me, 5:05 PM for the purposes of establishing the tentative millage rate.
No, no,
I'm sorry.
no. So we need a first reading of the budget on a special meeting on September the 3rd at 5:05 PM.
So moved.
Second.
Give me twice, I'll screw it up again, so.
Motion and a second. Is there discussion of the motion?
So just to clarify, that meeting, tonight, we do adopt the tentative millage rate?
That's
Or
next. That's next.
Okay, so that meeting is specifically for a hearing, the first reading for the budget?
Correct.
For the hearing, yes, hearing for the
As soon
budget.
as we call this vote, we're going to get into the millage rate. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no nays. We have a special meeting, September 3rd, 5:05, first reading of the budget.
Thank you.
You may continue, Mr.
Thank you.
Ingram.
Now on to the resolution. Pursuant to Florida statute, section 200.065A1, the city's first step in the annual budget adoption process is to compute a proposed tentative millage rate necessary to fund the tentative budget using no less than 95% of the taxable value certified by the property appraiser. On or before August 4th, 2025, the city is required to advise the property appraiser of the proposed tentative millage rate, the rolled back millage rate, and the date, time, and place of the city's public hearing to consider the tentative millage rate and tentative budget. The tentative millage rate that is adopted should be a rate the city council does not expect the adopted budget to exceed, although the rate may be decreased either before or at the first and/or final budget public hearing. Conversely, if the rate adopted at the public hearings in September exceeds the tentative rate, the city will incur the expense of notifying each taxpayer of this increase by first-class mail. After the completion of several budget workshops, council has determined that the tentative millage rate should be set at 6.455, which is no change from last year's millage rate of 6.455 mils. The proposed tentative millage rate of 6.455 mils for fiscal year 2026 is 0.1864 mils higher than the rolled back rate of 6.2686 mils. The first public hearing for the fiscal year 2026 millage rate and budget will be held on Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025 at 5:05 p.m. and the second and final hearing for adoption at 6 p.m. Tuesday, September 16th, 2025 in the council chambers at Temple Terrace City Hall located at 11250 North 56th Street, Temple Terrace, Florida. City staff shall prepare a budget with a millage rate of 6.455, which would generate $19,738,081, or 95% of total ad valorem, in tax revenue and allows for a continuation of existing public service levels. Staff recommends that council approve a resolution adopting a proposed tentative millage rate of 6.455 for fiscal year 2026. And I stand for any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Ingram. Are there members of the public who wish to comment? Mr. Loeb.
One very quick question. Does that count if necessarily, let's say Hart Board comes to you and and you all agree to put some millage on it based on Hart's thing or a recommendation with, I'm not quite sure about the bureaucracy on it, but the thing is that your rate might then go higher if you, would that count or not count or anything like that?
Hart is a separate taxing authority. This has nothing to do with Hart. This is our portion of the ad valorem taxes.
In other words, if Hart comes to you and...
That's separate, completely separate. Yes, sir. Are there other members of the public who wish to comment? Council members, are there questions for Mr. Ingram? Councilmember Kravitz.
Shortest question ever. Is this a tax increase?
The tax rate is not increasing. There could be an increase in what you pay if your property value has gone up. That's just determined individually.
The rate is the same.
The rate is the same.
Okay. Yes, Councilmember Fernandez.
Just to answer the previous question, so this is the millage rate specifically for our budget. If Hart were to come in front of this body and request a rate increase, that would be on your overall tax assessment, but that money would go directly to Hart. It wouldn't have anything to do with the establishment of our budget or the city's revenue. So I just wanted to clarify.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay, council members, is there a motion?
Move to approve the resolution establishing the tentative millage rate of 6.455 mils for the fiscal year 2026, establishing a rollback rate of 6.2686.
Second.
Establishing a rollback, say that again?
The rollback rate is 6.2686, the rollback rate.
I would also put in the motion that it's setting that setting the public hearings, that's in dismissal.
Oh, okay. And with the addition of the first public hearing on the budget proposal will be held at 5:05 p.m. on September 3rd.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion of the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? No nays. Millage rate is adopted. Mr. B, I have a favor. Could you please have somebody from your staff, until we can get the city clerk integrated, send a calendar invite reflecting that special meeting? I'm trying to move us towards calendar invites, but Ms. Sater's still getting her legs under her right now, so thank you. Next item is a resolution approving an adjustment to the fiscal year 2025 budget. Mr. Ingram is still here and will explain this as well.
All right. The fiscal year 2024 budget included a $250,000 appropriation from the Community Investment Tax Funds for installing a buddy baseball field. This budgeted item was contingent on securing a commitment for additional funding from Hillsborough County. The city received a commitment of $450,000 in fiscal year 2025 for additional funding, requiring the council to reappropriate the CIT funds in this current fiscal year. The resolution will add to the fiscal year 2025 budget a $450,000 contribution from the county for interlocal governmental revenues and $450,000 to our athletic fields capital expenditures account. Additionally, The resolution approves carrying over the $250,000 in CIT, that's Community Investment Tax Appropriations Account, and the CIT Athletic Field Capital Expenditures Account from the fiscal year 2024 budget to the fiscal year 2025 budget. Our Leisure Services Director, Mr. Langfeld, will be up shortly with the resolution for this project. And I stand for any questions that you may have regarding this budget amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Ingram. Are there members of the public who wish to comment on this item? Seeing none. Council members, are there any questions for Mr. Ingram? Councilmember Fernandez.
So question from the 2024 budget, did we encumber this or did we roll this over from that budget, or at the end of the 2024 fiscal year when we didn't spend it, did it just roll back into the available community investment tax funds?
The latter. We didn't spend it. We didn't encumber it because we did not have that commitment yet. And we did not do a budget amendment. We did not want to do a budget amendment in this year until we knew for sure we had that county commitment. We do have it now. So we are basically carrying over that.
Okay. So now, have the funds actually been received in fiscal year 2025, or will we be essentially rolling this project over into fiscal year 2026?
That may be determined by how quick, we're already in July. It may be that after this action is taken, that if the project continues on into fiscal year 26 and is not completed until that time, we may have to come back and do a budget amendment for fiscal year 26. That has to do with the timing, but at least we will have the commitment and it in the budget.
Vice Mayor?
Yeah, my initial question was what Councilmember Fernandez asked regarding the encumbrance in 2024, just let's sit in the reserves. Will the county be giving us a check for $450,000, or are we going to work on this project concurrently?
That may be a question for Mr. Langfeld.
We know.
As far as the timing on payments and.
Gil, the next is a resolution approved.
No, okay, all right. But however, we're going to make a budget amendment. Are we making a budget amendment for the whole $700,000? Or are we going to make a budget amendment for our 250 portion?
It's for the whole $700,000.
So we anticipate receiving the funds in completely, and then we'll be the ultimate disperser. Okay, all right, good.
Yes.
The nod ahead works for me. Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay.
Other questions? Okay, thank you. If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion of the motion. If not, all those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No nays. Resolution's adopted. Thank you.
Thank you.
So council, we have a little bit more to go. We've been at this 2.5 hours. Do you want to push through, or do you want a 5-minute recess to use the restroom? Get a drink? You want to push through? Okay, very good. Next is a resolution approving a contract for the construction of a handicap accessible baseball field. Our Leisure Services Director, Carl Langfeld, is here to explain. This is obviously related to the previous item.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. Buddy Baseball has been a league in Temple Terrace since 2009, playing out of the family complex. Over the past 16 years, Buddy Baseball has really become a part of the fabric of what is Temple Terrace. During that time, over 1,000 youth with special needs have had an opportunity to play baseball in this league. Additionally, it has provided area youth volunteers as buddies, creating exposure to a group of peers that they may not have an opportunity to interact with, and also to develop lifelong friendships, all while earning community service hours. Over these years, Buddy Baseball has attracted the attention of the Tampa Bay Rays, the Lightning, the Buccaneers, and created local legends such as Zach Big Dog Mueller, who everybody knows and loves. For many years, Buddy Baseball played on 2 natural clay and grass fields behind the family complex. In 2018, the city received a $250,000 appropriation in the Florida state budget and a matching $250,000 appropriation from Hillsborough County to construct Phase 1 of the Buddy Baseball Complex, which was completed and open for play in 2019. In 2024, as Finance Director Ingram explained, $250,000 was budgeted in CIT for Phase 2, and a $450,000 commitment was received from Hillsborough County to allow for the completion of Phase 2. In December of 2024, the city contracted with Stantec Engineering Firm to provide a review and update of the design and engineering work that was originally done for the Buddy Baseball Complex, which incorporated both phases, as well as to provide construction oversight services. This was in the amount of $42,000. Following consultation with county staff, Hillsborough County provided a recommendation of AstroTurf Corporation as a contractor to build the fields as they have been used for construction of county fields and Hillsborough County School Board fields. At this time, I am requesting to award a contract to AstroTurf Corporation in the amount of $661,083 for the construction of Phase 2 of Buddy baseball fields. This will include a base bid of $643,930 and an add alternate sidewalk project in the amount of $12,153, utilizing Sourcewell Contract 031622. This contract has been reviewed by our finance and legal departments for consistency with city purchasing procedures. I stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Langfield. Are there members of the public who wish to comment on this? Yes, sir. You may approach. You have to come to the podium. Just need your name and city of residence first, please.
Carl Julius, Temple Terrace. Just wanted to know, as far as some of those awardings, if they went up for public bidding, as far as like for the AstroTurf and any of those things, and for many other things in the city that get purchased as well too. If there's like an Oracle or somewhere that we can look for those bids that are coming through.
Thank you, sir. So, Mr. Langfield, that was actually going to be my question too, about the bidding and procurement. So could you dive into that a little bit, please?
Sourcewell is a national purchasing cooperative where all of the bidding and procurement steps are undertaken ahead of time by, and I believe it's a government agency in Minnesota, I believe is the home of it. The city uses Sourcewell contracts for a lot of different projects. We used a Sourcewell contract when we did the lighting project at the family complex tennis courts. We used Sourcewell for the carpeting at the library. Sourcewell has been used for the purchase of vehicles. It's commonplace that we use it, and it's used throughout the country as an accepted piggyback.
I remember some of this now.
So that's and it expedites the process on our end of getting that competitively bid pricing without the city having to go through all those steps again. It's already been done.
Okay, I remember that now. So, council members, other questions?
I only have one question.
Oh, Vice Mayor.
Go ahead.
Vice Mayor.
Okay. Where physically, are we tearing up what we have?
No.
Or is it going to be?
No, there are two softball fields behind Lewis Elementary School.
Right.
One of them was already converted to the synthetic turf field. This will be the conversion of the second field to a synthetic turf field.
Now, is that our property or is that?
It is school board property, and this has all been part of the engineer's responsibilities was to vet all of this and push it all through the school board for approval. That process has already been done. It has received school board approval following their review of all of the plans.
So we're essentially ready to turn dirt.
We are ready to turn dirt.
Thank you.
Fernandez?
My only question is, for the construction, is this the only aspect, is this the only cost, the $661,000, or are there other construction costs associated with this project?
This is it. This is everything. This is the field, this is the fencing, this is the dugouts, this is all of the site work that needs to get done. This is the entire project.
Okay, thank you.
If there are no other questions, is there a motion?
Move to approve contract for the construction of the handicap accessible baseball field.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion of the motion. None. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No nays. Thank you, Mr. Langfeld. The resolution is approved. Next item is a resolution approving the purchase of a 2026 Freightliner M2 chassis with a, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, utility body. Public Works Director Jason Warrenfeld will explain.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. I'm here to present a resolution for your consideration of replacement of an essential vehicle in our city's fleet. This resolution to the City of Temple Terrace seeks the approval for purchase of a 2026 Freightliner M2 chassis with a nap-hide utility body. This acquisition will be made through the Sheriff's Association bid FSA 23 VEH 21-1. And that ensures a competitively bid and cooperative purchasing process. The total cost of the vehicle is $125,991.88. The new utility truck will support the ongoing operations and improve reliability and efficiency for the Public Works Utilities Department. Funding for this acquisition was programmed in the fiscal year 25 budget for $125,000. The additional funding for the purchase of this vehicle will come from the water sewer unassigned fund balance. This unit will allow the department to place a 2011 F-550 in a reserve status for future unforeseen needs. In summary, just seeking approval of this, the approval of this resolution to make the purchase and then payment to the dealer for the purchase. And I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Warrenfeld, the cover page of the resolution says the vehicle, the old vehicle is going to go to auction. In fact, the resolution says that it's going to auction. So we would need to amend the resolution, language in the resolution, if we're going to retain that.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. So are there members of the public who wish to comment on this item? Okay, council member questions. Vice Mayor.
I don't have a problem with the project. It's just, what, Mr. Bay, this is consent agenda item?
Great question, actually, because it was budgeted at $125,000 and it's coming in at $125,991.88. So my pledge to the council is if the items in the budget come, if they're over, I don't put it on consent, I bring it to your attention.
Sir.
Yes.
Other questions, council members?
No, do we want to keep this in reserve, or do we want to auction it?
We just said we're going to keep it.
No, I mean, I'm just asking though if that was an oversight, or if we changed our minds, or.
So currently there are a few vehicles that are in the shop, and to keep this, it'll be a short-term keep, but it is different from what the resolution says as far as sending it to auction right away. So we're going to send it to auction. It's just not going to be immediate. This vehicle will be, should be in our possession sometime in November. So at that point, then we'll make the decision if it goes or not, but we're keeping it for now.
Okay, so we need to change the resolution.
Mr. Mueller?
Well, I was just thinking we do not need to, if your ultimate plan is to dispose of this, we should probably leave it as is. It just doesn't have a time frame for the disposal.
Okay. Thank you. Are there other questions? If not, is there a motion?
Move to approve the acquisition of the 2026 Freightliner M2 chassis with the nap-hide utility body.
Second.
Oh, sure, you can say it, because you heard him say it first.
Did he say it? I was going to ask him, I didn't hear it say it, okay.
Is there discussion of the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No nays. Resolution's adopted. Thank you, Mr. Warrenfeld, and I see you're going to be here for the next one. Next is a resolution approving a change order to Sun Civil LLC for the Fowler Avenue Emergency Gravity Sewer Pipe Construction Project, and Mr. Warrenfeld, our Public Works Director, will explain this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In front of you is a resolution for consideration regarding the Fowler Avenue Gravity Sewer Main Replacement Project. This change order is to a previous agreement with Sun Civil and this adds additional work. Recently, the agreement with our former contractor was canceled, and now the remaining work remains to be completed. This change order allows Sun Civil, who's been tasked with installing the casing under Fowler Avenue, to complete the project in its entirety, including the driveway reconstruction for the lift station, the sidewalk replacement, additional site work, and then ultimately sod at the end. The proposed increase is $239,750.22, bringing the total contract amount to $1,602,307.80.
Thank you, Mr. Warrenfelds. Are there members of the public who wish to comment on this item? Seeing none. Council member questions? Vice Mayor.
Will this put this whole project to bed?
It will. I will say that the timeline for this, which I did not say and I'll say it now, the expected completion of this is end of August. That is our expected completion timeline. So currently, we are waiting for the 2 manhole structures. That is the biggest drawdown right now of what we're waiting for. So the sidewalk work will happen immediately. We need to restore the FDOT right away so FDOT can finish their project. And then the rest of the work will happen essentially behind the wall once we get manholes in place and get the site put back together.
The pumps will be gone. You'll be able to get into, can't really get in place now, Summit West.
Summit West.
And okay, all right, thank you.
Other questions? Councilmember Fernandez.
So this item, it is a change order with this specific contract because originally we had another contractor that we expected to do the work that's now going to be completed by this one.
Correct.
So overall, this change order to this contract is not necessarily an overall increase in the cost of the project for the items on this change order. Oh, the project I know has had a lot of costs, but this specific change order is not actually additional work to be done on the project. It's additional work to be done by this contractor, meaning we would have already been spending this money, but just with a different contractor.
Correct. So the original contracted amount was 1.6 million to do the entire job. When we terminated the contract, that left a balance of work and a balance of dollars that this will take care of filling that gap on both ends, the dollar piece and the work piece.
Okay, so if we agree to this change order, that is the upper limit of funding this project. We expect that this change order will completely cover all costs and work needed to be done to complete it.
Yes, barring any unforeseen circumstances that we may face.
What we know right now.
What we know today.
Okay. That's it.
Other questions? Councilmember Kravitz.
One short question. What supervision is Sun Civil currently subject to?
Supervision?
Yeah, is someone there every day?
So the utilities department has a staff member on site 24/7 right now currently, and they are filling out documents every day that gives us an idea of what's happening there amidst of the staff supervision that pops in and out frequently.
Great, excellent, thank you.
I do have one quick follow-up. I know it's, to piggyback off of what Councilman Fernandez was saying, the total project now will be what we spent in the emergency. We spent this plus whatever we spent with the previous contractor, okay? Had they billed for everything that they had done, or we have any liquidated damages that could potentially occur? And if you don't want to talk about that due to any negotiations, that's fine, I understand that. But I don't want you to paint yourself into a corner with your comments here, to saying that, yeah, that's, because, we're looking at about, 2.9 million, I think it is, if I just do some rough numbers in my head, as to what we've already committed to this project. I just want to make sure that we understand that this is a cumulative impact of the last contractor not being able to fulfill what he needed to do. I don't want you to say something that, paint yourself in a corner, that's all.
City Attorney.
Yeah, I kind of want to refrain from a whole lot of discussion on this on the dais. I mean, it is what it is. We're having a new company come in, and I think that Mr. Warrenfelds has kind of explained what the cumulative funding is going to be.
Okay.
Mr. Warrenfelds, did I miss a beat and we're up to 2.9 million on this project? Because I thought you said that the 1.6 was mostly going to cover the expense of this project.
So 1.6 was the original amount for the original contract, which they have not billed nor did they complete work for 1.6 million. Sun Civil's agreement will get to 1.6 million. That does not include the dollars that we've already paid the other contractor, which was, a large portion of that was the bypass pumping.
Okay, so Sun Civil's gonna get the 1.6, and then whatever we paid to the previous contractor is in addition to the 1.6.
Correct.
So we are approaching 2 point something, yeah.
Yeah, and we have, and there are other numbers that contribute to this as well. The current bypass pumping is outside of all of these agreements, which we are paying in a monthly bill.
Okay.
So there's an additional work. This will be, it is a larger number than 1.6 million as a total project, but there has been numerous concerns and issues and
Yeah,
problems that
and
have
I,
popped up.
and I understand that there's things we don't wanna.
Right.
Yes, Mr. Bia.
Mayor and Council, at some point, we will be putting all these costs together. We're tracking them already because we're putting in for FEMA reimbursement.
Right.
And we've been told we're eligible potentially up to 75%. So whether that ultimately plays out that way or not is unclear at this point, but at least that was the indication. So we will have a final number on this once we finish, get through it.
Other questions? And it's not like we have a lot of choice, and we have to be out of DOT's right of way by a certain time too, don't we?
Very soon.
Are we going to enshrine that light pole somewhere? Okay.
Okay. All right, council, is there a motion?
Move to approve the resolution of a change order to Sun Civil LLC for the Fowler Avenue Emergency Gravity Sewer Pipe Construction Project.
Second.
Do we need to, Mr. Mueller, state the amount?
In the amount of $239,750.22.
Good. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion of the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No nays? Thank you very much, Mr. Warrenfield. Council business, any carryover council business? Okay, new business and board reports, any new business? Councilmember Kravitz.
Short one question for the city manager, if I may. The historic preservation ordinance change that we discussed today, would you mind telling me who originated that as an agenda item?
The change, so the change has been ongoing for several months because we were told by the National Park Service that we were not in compliance. The ordinance that we had was not in compliance. So staff has been working on bringing something to the council for months now that would meet the National Park Service's direction. So that's my memory of this issue.
Did you originate it then? You put it on the agenda independently?
In the sense of, it's been from staff. I mean, Jeannie's been working on this for several months. We haven't hidden the fact. I think we've even discussed it here at the council in the past that we've been working on this.
Would you be amenable to looking into it and letting me know which staff member put this on the agenda? Because, putting things on the agenda requires a certain process. I just want to know how this got there.
Okay, sure.
Sure, thanks. Okay. Second item I have, and I'll be done in a moment. I'd like to make a motion to instruct the city attorney to provide a written memorandum on the state of the PFAS litigation and the activities of our outside counsel. So I'd just like to have a report on how that's going and what is the current state of the play in that litigation.
Wait, I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, sure. The motion would be to instruct the city attorney to provide a written memorandum on the state of the PFAS litigation and the activities of the outside counsel that we've engaged. Because I don't know anything about any of the internal workings of that lawsuit, and I think that we should have a look. So that would be the motion.
Well, I'll second that because I have a question, yeah.
Okay, well, first let's hear from Mr. Mueller. Are we in jeopardy putting any of this into Sunshine document, or is this, can you give us a document that doesn't put us in jeopardy?
What I'd like to do, I kind of would like to look at that more, this kind of, I know you brought it up earlier at this meeting, but also there might be the opportunity to even have the council come here and speak with you too, if you would like. I'd like to look into that too. That might even be more productive than a memo, so I can look into that too. Remember, we're part of a settlement process here, so to some degree, some of this is going to fall under some confidentiality and everything else. I'd like to at least talk with outside counsel as to we could put into a public record memo in that.
Historic-
Sorry.
Historically, we've done shade meetings also.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you have the floor? Were you done?
My-
You were asking, you're recognized now.
Okay, that would be my question is what, I know we're not in the active litigation phase because I believe that litigation has already occurred.
Well, phase one did.
Okay.
There's a second phase two, and we're in that, and right now, we've kind of entered into an agreement to where we'd be part of the settlement process and not the litigation process.
Okay, so I think what I would like is to just know, I would just like to have information about the progress, where the process is, and where we anticipate. I just want some feedback on where we are. It doesn't have to be as formal as a memo to me, but I want the information.
Right.
So I personally don't have a requirement that it be in a particular format, but I would like to know how it's progressing and what is happening and what we could expect, should expect, or would need to do.
All right, yeah, and like I said, I can either try and see if outside counsel would like to come and address the council. I think that would probably be a better route than doing a memorandum.
Vice Mayor.
I would like the opportunity to do this maybe in a shade meeting so that we could ask questions and get a better understanding. To your point about being a sunshine document, I would prefer a shade meeting so that we can ask the questions that we may have.
Since we are not in litigation, and the requirements for a shade meeting are real.
So it wouldn't qualify? Okay, that's fair. Okay.
If we don't qualify for a shade meeting, anything we discuss will be public anyway.
Mhm.
So I don't understand what the objection would be to us discovering what the situation is with this particular lawsuit, especially because in such a sophisticated environment where we're using outside counsel with multiple claimants against a large corporation, I would imagine that most of those negotiations are largely public anyway.
Well, all I'm doing is offering out there, instead of a memo, I can actually see if the outside counsel can come and answer questions and speak to you directly, which
Correct.
might be
Perhaps
a more
outside.
productive way of you getting information that we are, that can be provided, that won't run afoul of settlement confidentiality.
Obviously, I'm coming at this from a completely different professional context, but there must be some way for us to obtain a written statement from our attorneys about what's going on.
I'm more than happy to give you a memo that says that we hired outside counsel. I can attach their resume to that, and that, and
That's not what's going on, that's who's going on. I understand that we've hired, it says in the city manager's council update who we have hired. I don't need to know that again. I'm just trying to say, what is the situation with the PFAS litigation? What are our expectations from that? It doesn't have to go into the nitty-gritty of what settlement agreement we're trying to negotiate with them, but knowing what the overall parameters are of this dispute, I think would be very helpful to everyone and also of interest to the public. So
I'll discuss it with outside counsel and provide what
perhaps outside counsel could provide such a statement.
I can do that.
Okay.
So that would be the motion, to obtain some report of that nature. So, City Attorney, how would you describe that product?
Okay, we have a motion.
Well, we're not getting a memorandum now, so I want to make sure that the motion reflects what we've just discussed, because a memorandum would go too far. So what would this be?
I think we provide between me and outside counsel just some sort of memorandum or document that's going to kind of just explain what I think you're looking for is the
Fantastic.
process.
Yes, exactly.
What's going on, who are the...
Basic things, yes. So is that a memorandum, then? We can keep that language?
Yeah, we'll use a memorandum.
Okay, so that would be the motion as made, so.
And you seconded it?
Yes.
Okay, you're still seconding?
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No nays? Thank you, Mr. Mueller. Other new business or board reports? Okay, city manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I'm going to be just, if you would mind passing this down. At the budget workshop, last budget workshop, it was brought up about adding trash cans to the downtown, specifically to the CRA area. The handout you have before you is a aerial view of the CRA, the southern end of the CRA, the area we refer to sort of the downtown. And the circles, the red circles are existing trash cans, and the yellow circles are, staff has gone out, and I can't say that they found necessarily hotspots, regular hotspots. What they find is that there is trash circulating, it's being picked up by the wind and probably critters, and it's being strewn about. And so they looked at this logically from a perspective, if we were going to add trash cans, where would we add them, and, reasonable space between cans that, one might expect in a downtown setting. So what they have proposed here is 9 new locations for cans. The cans are roughly they need it's about a $700 per can expense, in a sense, because there's a can, and then we have to to avoid ADA issues with cramping the sidewalk space, we'll probably need to have a small concrete base poured for each of these cans so that cans are known to be stolen. So if the council's wants us to pursue that, what I would recommend doing is funding it from the CRA, from the TIF fund, basically. We could move to do that as soon as you give us direction to move on it, if this is your inclination.
This is all these locations are public right away?
Yes, sir. Yes, they're in the public right away.
Okay. Council member questions? If not, is there a motion?
Well, I do have one question.
Okay.
So staff has said that, because are these trash cans we would be expecting to empty? These are not trash cans that we would expect someone else to
No,
empty?
these are in the public right away. City staff would be emptying them. We'd probably start out sort of on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday cycle. If we find that that's, overkill, we might bring that down a bit. Again, we'll be learning a lot assuming you want to do this, once we get the cans in place.
Councilmember Kravitz.
Great, this looks fantastic. Thank you so much for putting this together. I think it'll be really meaningful to a lot of people. Absolutely fantastic, thank you.
I have another question.
Councilmember Fernandez.
So, in the parcel that is not developed, I see that we're putting 2. What would happen, are these the city right-of-way regardless of if this parcel gets developed?
Yes.
Okay, that's it.
Is there a motion?
I'll motion to instruct the city manager to implement the proposal that we've just received in our hands for placement of trash cans in downtown.
And charging it to the CRA TIF?
And applying such costs to the CRA TIF fund.
Second.
Motion, second discussion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? No nays? Thank you. Mr. Beal?
That's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Mueller?
Nothing.
Nothing. Anybody? You guys are a patient group. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Thank you for all your hard work. We appreciate it, and we will be adjourned.